your host, Peter. Today we're joined by Justin.
Hello.
And Harry.
Hello.
Let's get it. All right, we're going to take a diet off NBA and we're going to start straight with football. Football. We're going to start with the Tottenham-Chelsea game. So Tottenham beat Chelsea. And this is, I think this is one of those weird results because that hasn't happened in a long time. So the score was...
What do you mean?
No, Tottenham don't have a good record against Chelsea.
They just beat them last time they played at the Bridge. Now, this time it was played at Wembley.
Yeah, but I mean, in general, over the last 5 to 10 years, I think
that's true.
Tottenham have struggled
Tottenham
against Chelsea.
Beat Chelsea last year at the Bridge.
Okay.
All right.
But it's still weird in the context of the last few years.
Okay. Well, it depends on how you draw the box. It depends on how you...
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So, 3-1. Scorers was Kane.
Kane, Ali,
Min,
and
Son.
Son
Min.
My boy Son.
He had the best goal.
My boy
the
Son.
best goal.
Big fan.
And the person who scored for Chelsea?
Giroud.
Oh yeah, the last goal, consolation goal. So thoughts? Justin, have some thoughts?
Well, my thoughts were, I guess, coming into this game, I think personally, my feeling was that Chelsea were the favorite, even though they were away. Coming off,
I agree. They're unbeaten. They were unbeaten.
Well, coming off a good run in the league and all that, I think at the start of the season, Chelsea had some defensive wobbles while they were trying to get used to Sarri's system.
Yeah,
and then they sort of got stronger and stronger and stronger. So I think coming into this game, Chelsea were probably the favorite. Having said that, I don't know the odds, but that's what I suspect, even though they're playing away.
Yeah.
So I think 3-1 actually was quite a resounding scoreline, especially because Spurs went 3-0 up.
Yeah.
And then Giroud scored, I think, in 85th or something.
Yeah, consolation.
Having said that, I didn't watch the game in its entirety. I only watched the extended highlights.
Same.
But yeah, to be fair, I think the game was good. I'm surprised at how well Spurs are doing actually.
I have a theory.
Coming off this game, as well as taking into account the Champions League game they had in midweek, I'm actually surprised at how well they're doing. What's the theory?
Because Ali came back.
Yeah, possibly.
Ali came back over the last few weeks, and
really? So you're
possibly
a big fan of Dali Ali, are you?
I've never said he's not good. I never said he's not good. I just think Kane, he's important. And I think he's made a real difference over the last week for Spurs. The Spurs season have kind of... they haven't been doing well.
Ali is a big piece, but I don't
Eriksen's been hitting form as well.
Well, he's just coming back from injury too.
As well, yeah.
And Eriksen played in the World. Eriksen played in the World Cup as well.
Alderweireld is now...
Vertonghen as well.
Alderweireld's back in the side.
No, Alderweireld has always been there for the season, but Vertonghen just come back.
No, remember at one time it was the preferred centre-back pairing was
that was last
Sanchez
season.
and...
That was last season. I think he's played the entirety of this season.
Okay.
Yep. So I think for me...
but Alderweireld was real questionable at the start. I remember he was letting in a few goals. That was his fault.
He was very questionable last season. There was a doubt as to whether he would actually ever get his place back.
Yeah.
There was, that's why there's all these
because they were questioning whether his
Tottenham's
head was with Tottenham or was he already planning to move to United.
To be fair, else essentially.
To be fair, I think Alderweireld is one of those players actually who, by himself, is not a great defender, but he works well when he works
in a system
with someone else who is more stable than him. So, and the reason I say that is because the only reason I wanted to talk about this Spurs Chelsea game was because I think it's a great example about how terrible a defender David Luiz is. I have not been a fan for David Luiz for a long time. I think
he's a good footballer, but he's not a good defender. He doesn't have the discipline.
He has rash moments, and it stood out.
No, I mean
during this game,
he has rash. He
has very clear defensive mental lapses.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And you can tell that at times he's a central defender who at times just doesn't want to defend. Like he's more concerned with going forward, which I think is quite interesting for that sort of mentality to be with a central defender. Usually you talk about that sort of mentality for the fullbacks, right? where you can say, oh, well, that fullback, he's not that good defensively, but he gives you so much attacking wise, right?
No, but that's why David Luiz. Do you know he started off his career as a kind of a centre back, but he played central defense, the defensive mid as well for Benfica. And then when he came to Chelsea, he would rotate between both roles, but eventually he would be placed as a centre back, just like Phil Jones. Remember when Phil Jones came?
I mean, regardless, David Luiz is a central defender.
Okay,
He's a central defender.
Yeah.
And at one point, the most expensive central defender in the world.
Yep.
This was when he went back to Chelsea the second time.
60, right? Or was it 60?
Something like that. 50 or 60, I can't remember.
He was bought for 30 million, sold for 30 again or something, and then bought back for 60. And people were like, what?
I remember when that transfer happened, I remember telling a friend of mine, it's like, this is ridiculous. Like, this guy who is not even a great central defender is the most expensive defender in the world. And the reason that was a topic at the time was because I think a lot of people at the time were saying how there's a lack of quality central defenders in the world. And that's why, you get so-called mediocre central defenders being, they're being sold at a premium just because there's a lack of central defenders. Yeah.
No, and there's also the reason why he there's a bit of value to him was because he's one of the players who can kind of pass the ball pretty well. Like ball-playing centre backs were kind of the hot, the flavor of the year, like over the last 2-3 years.
No, I understand that, but to me, maybe it's an old school thinking, but but I think as a central defender, your number one job is to be
absolutely
good defensively.
Exactly.
It's the same as goalkeeper.
Yeah,
exactly. But it's a nice skill to have if you can play the ball well. Yeah. But if you can't keep, can't keep the ball, then what's the point?
There's an overvaluation in that skill right now for defenders, don't you think?
In what skill?
Being able to pass the ball, being able to play the ball rather than defend, like John Stones.
That's true, but I think we are it's contingent upon you doing the fundamental defense, the fundamental job properly.
Yeah.
Then there's a bonus, right?
Not more often than not, but a lot in many games does not do that.
We can look at. I just opened up the meme that describes David Luiz really well, and it has been. I think it describes him perfectly well throughout his whole career. Mm-hmm. Do you agree with me? So it's a picture of Bilbo Baggins going on an adventure, and it describes David Luiz every time he gets the ball. Do you all agree?
I mean, he's probably the central defender I've seen the most sort of carry the ball up past halfway.
Yeah,
probably. Probably. But yeah, having said that though, did you see the second goal and the third goal, Harry?
Yes. So the second goal, so Harry Kane scored.
Yeah.
Luiz got out of the way.
Scored against Chelsea, big club, right?
And it wasn't because of him. It was because of Luiz and the keeper. Correct?
Yeah. Luiz Luiz actually.
Well, because
physically
a good shot.
moved. Yeah, I agree. It moved out of the way. I think when
not a good shot.
I think when it went in, people were surprised that actually went in. Because it wasn't a particularly...
You talking about Kane?
Yeah, the
Absolutely.
goal. It wasn't a particularly powerful shot.
No, it wasn't.
You would expect the keeper to save it. I think partially the reason the keeper didn't save it because he was unsighted.
Yes.
But Luiz was blocking the...
Because Luiz was in front of the shot.
Yeah,
and he moved away from it.
More of the blame, right?
Yeah.
I think keeper gets some blame too because I think... I don't know. Maybe he wasn't unsighted, but okay, fine. But still, Luiz gets most of the blame on that.
Yeah,
Harry Kane killed the game for
moved
Tottenham.
It. And then the third goal.
Yeah.
That was... I know
Song was individually was brilliant, right?
Yeah.
But
That was a great
Luiz
goal.
just went. You got to take him out, if anything. I know it was very close to the penalty box.
Yeah.
So it was, but still, you got to at least
It was real...
hold him up or something.
It was amateur defending.
It was a total miss.
It was
defending.
It was a weak attempt at defense. Honestly, it was a weak attempt. Like he didn't even. It
was a very lazy way of defending. It was like, okay, I'll commit right now. If I miss kind of thing.
It wasn't even. I'm not even sure. Like, it was a token effort.
No,
it's just saying, look, I swung my leg at it, so that means I tried to get it, but
it's like first of all,
he wasn't really like, I'm gonna get the ball, or I'm gonna stop the guy. So I agree with you.
You've committed to a tackle like that, where you know when you do it, you go like, why did I do it? I know I was never gonna get it if I committed.
No, I think there's nothing wrong with committing, right?
No, but the way you commit, that kind of tackle you do, you're risking an easy way of getting beaten if you tackle like that.
Well,
and that's what happened.
Well, I think
that shouldn't happen at the highest level.
I think we're talking about the word committing from two different perspectives, right?
Yeah.
Whereas committed, like you're talking about it, he committed as in like he went for the tackle knowing that if he missed, he'll be in big trouble.
Yeah.
Right? Because he can't recover.
Yes.
I agree with that. But I'm talking about commitment in terms of he didn't even really look like he wanted to get the ball.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
No,
He didn't even
what you
really
mean.
look like he wanted to get the ball. He was just like, look, I'm just gonna try to get it.
I thought it was a real amateurish tackle.
Yeah, exactly. Like it lacked like
Attempted tackle.
Attempted
It's like I'm gonna try to get this ball. It's not like I'm gonna try to get this ball and this guy's not going past me. Or,
No,
it was just
he
like
didn't think it through. He was like he did a real like instinctual amateurish tackle.
Yeah,
not a professional way.
I think the word amateurish is probably
the
good
best
here.
way. Yeah.
What did you think about the game,
Do
Harry?
you remember, like, I'm trying to think back, do you remember, I think it was the United game when Luiz also whiffed on a tackle. I don't exactly remember who scored. Do you remember?
Martial.
I don't remember who.
Was it this season or was it
I'm
this
pretty
previous
certain
season?
he whiffed on a tackle and a goal scored. Because United, it was 2-2, right?
Martial scored both goals.
That was last season, wasn't it?
No, this season. Yes, Martial scored. It was
Martial.
one of the,
I know
forget
which one you're talking about.
But I'm pretty certain, I don't exactly remember which goal, but I'm pretty certain Luiz whiffed on a tackle and then one of the goals scored.
It's the second. It's the
It's
second one. The
very
first one
really
was a penalty.
I'm
The
not.
second-
Well,
No,
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Like I would not be surprised.
Yeah, we all. I think we're all in agreement that David Luiz is not reliable.
But see, it's interesting because I think, remember, Luiz was playing when Conte came back. When Conte was appointed in 16, right?
Yeah.
2016, his first season, Luiz was the full-time sort of centre. He was the central guy of the three-man
Yeah.
defense.
Yep.
And something happened.
And he's one of the players that loved Conte.
Okay, but something happened.
Yep.
I'm not sure if it's the first season, back end of the first season, or the start of the second season, where he's sort of on the outs.
Yeah, it was
Second.
definitely the second season.
Was it
Second.
the attitude, or maybe also his lack of motivation, his lack of desire?
Yeah.
Something, right?
I was quite surprised that issue actually didn't seem to become bigger. Like it just seemed like, all right, Conte's dropped David Luiz. He's not playing David Luiz anymore. But I get the feeling maybe, I didn't dig too much into it, but there was no real like why, like even by the media or the press
media
or whatever. Like there
bring it
wasn't
up.
much digging into why.
Yeah, I think it was concerned because Conte was having fights with the board.
Yeah.
Remember? And he's just sniping back and forth, and I think that sort of got lost in the shuffle.
I mean he had issues with the players as well at that point in time,
Yeah, and the power structure. I think in Chelsea,
Right, but I think Conte was always out in front in the media, just taking subliminal hits or shots at the board about not getting players and stuff. And so I think his personal issues with, remember he had issues with Costa the season before as well.
Yep.
Leon, Costa.
See, I'm not. I wasn't. Certainly, I know it was with Luiz.
Willian Costa. No, Luiz liked it. He liked.
I don't think he liked it
Conte.
after he got dropped for like the entire second half of the season.
But I remember watching a
Of the
video
second-
where Conte basically. He talked highly of Conte's training methods. Okay, maybe
But
it's just
that was at
maybe
the
it's just-
beginning.
yeah, it was at the beginning.
Right.
But I know who I know he has beef with. Like Conte has beef with is Willian, Costa, and Hazard.
Yeah, Hazard. Yeah.
These three are like the
I
most-
think Hazard because of defense, like he doesn't want to play defense. Okay,
Probably.
that's a
and not
philosophical
creative
issue.
football. Like that's why he likes Sarri. Like,
But he
that's
still
why
played
plays.
him. I mean, he still played Hazard.
Of course, he's forced to. Yeah.
Right, but whereas he wasn't even playing, he wasn't even in the squad.
Yeah.
Luiz wasn't even in the squad. He was relegated to the stands
Oh,
to
shit.
watch for
I
most
know
of the
that.
second season. And yet Sarri came back and he sort of installed him
Back, is it?
back because they still have like Cahill. They still have.
Rudiger.
I think Rudiger's playing, but someone else
No,
isn't
Rudiger's
playing.
definitely playing.
Now the centre back pair is Luiz and Rudiger.
Yeah, Luiz and Rudiger.
But is there a couple others? Because there's two other. I know Cahill's one.
I remember in
and
Conte's.
there's another one who's not playing. So the fact that
young
Sarri is
guy,
installing, Christensen, right?
Christensen. Yeah, Conte used to play Christensen in part of the
Yes.
three, and he did
Yes,
quite well.
So Sarri prefers Luiz as one of the two
of
of
the
the
ball player.
four best. So that's saying something, and yet he still hasn't. The leopard hasn't changed his spots. He's still
Yeah.
gets crazy.
Well, and it's quite ironic actually because I would imagine that Luiz would actually. Actually, now I'm thinking of saying I'm not 100% sure, but I would think Luiz would actually do better in this team because he's got N'Golo Kante in front of him, and I know he's had that in the past few seasons, but he's a guy that can, in many instances, sort of cover up for your mistakes.
Yeah, although, and I haven't focused Chelsea that much, but Sarri is not playing Conte in the hole. He's playing Jorginho in the hole.
Well, he didn't play him. He didn't play him in that CDM role in the last game. The thing about Chelsea this season is that's quite interesting. Is that do you remember at the start of the season? He was playing that midfield three, and it was Pedro, Jorginho, and Kante.
Yeah.
And Kante was playing.
Was he playing Pedro?
Yeah.
He played Pedro as the advanced.
Yeah, he was playing Pedro because
Hazard.
Hazard was injured.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And Willian, and so it's between Pedro and Willian essentially.
I thought, who's the other guy? Was it Ross Barkley?
Nah,
Ross Barkley wasn't in the team.
Yeah.
He was still trying to get
but
fitness.
Kovacic, no? Wasn't it Kovacic?
It was Pedro.
Okay.
So Pedro was the guy. So that middle three were those three guys essentially. But I say middle, I use that a bit loosely because Pedro tends to drift out to
free roll.
drift out on the wings. But he'd play Jorginho and Kante. And I'm not sure if by what you said, Harry, you're alluding to what Carragher said this week on Monday Night Football.
I did not watch.
Where he spoke exactly about what you said. Where in this last game against Chelsea, he played Kante on the right side of a back two. On a midfield back two, sorry. So, and he says that Kante can't really operate in that. Kante needs to be in the middle.
Yes, that's what he's good at. That's what he's great at.
The funny thing is that Sarri has actually played Kante in the middle in a lot of games this season, actually, with and without Jorginho. So I'm pretty surprised, actually, that in this game in particular, he played that system. And he played one where it was Jorginho and Kante, two at the back and Kante on the right and Jorginho on the left. So that was interesting.
Sarri said early in the season he was trying to get more utility of Kante in the attacking space. He's trying to get more goals. He said that.
But that's not what he's good at.
I know, but that's what
he's not a great passer. He's not.
Oh, I think he's a great simple passer. He's not like a creative through ball passer. But
He's
I think
best at in the hole, and I think Sarri, because he took Jorginho with him from Napoli.
Yeah. No, he
wants him to be the focal point of that system, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if he
wanted
needs more
Jorginho
defeats
to
actually change that or not.
How do you see Jorginho as a player? Like, what do you think is his best
I haven't
position?
watched enough of him, but I don't think... I know he's Sarri's player, and they sort of work well together, but I think Kante should be in that position.
Personally, I don't think they actually play in the same position.
I agree with him. Yeah.
I think Jorginho is a classic central midfielder.
Yeah. Classic?
Yeah, classic in the sense that you think about central midfielder, more box to box, can offer something defensively, can offer something attackingly, high energy. To some extent links the play, although when you got Kante, he'll probably be the guy that links the play because he'll be the guy that receives the ball first from central defense. So I actually don't think they play in the same position.
Okay.
Right, and look, I haven't watched closely, and certainly not the tactical cam, but I get the sense that Jorginho is playing sort of more central, role, whereas Kante should be.
So because he's trying to. Because the thing is, in the earlier parts of the season, after Chelsea started a bit rough, right? They got really strong. At the time they were really strong, right? They were playing both Jorginho and Kante. And then, one got injured, the other one, and all those things. But in the games where they did play two of them, Jorginho was playing in front of Kante.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's quite interesting why, for me, this game, why he made that tactical switch. And it's a conscious switch, and it's tactical. And I'm just not 100% sure.
Wait, who did he play in front? Who did he play in front of the midfield? Who was in front? Who's more advanced, Jorginho or Kante?
They were both not advanced. They were both on the same line.
Okay. So the way from... Like my experience from watching Kante, I think a lot of people undervalue Kante's ability to run with the ball. So the way I look at this, I've seen Jorginho play, and the way I look at Jorginho, I think he's like a metronome. He controls the tempo of the play. He always completes probably the highest amount of passes in the game. From the early stats always pop out. Oh, Jorginho passed 100
That's true.
plus.
It's not that meaningful though.
Yeah, it's not. I know.
That's true.
So, and from watching him, he seems like a player who's really good at keeping the ball. So the way I look at it,
but he doesn't get to the ball nearly as well as Kante.
Yes,
that's why I think Kante should be more of the box-to-box option, and obviously he should win the ball. But there should be I think they should work in the midfield three because I think two of them together won't be effective. They need an attacking outlet in front.
I think playing Kante as box to box actually works to his detriment. Actually,
Because you think he should just focus on the defensive side?
His strengths are definitely more defensive than attacking.
Yeah, no, but I still... What Sarri said, I kind of agree with it. Because I've seen moments where he can run up with the ball, and he runs up with the ball really well. And I think it would be an untapped talent then. He would just be... I know his primary role is probably to win the ball and give it to someone who can play. But he can play the ball as well. You know what I mean?
He's
good at those short passes.
Who talking about? You're talking about Kante?
Kante.
I think Jorginho might be a better passer, but...
I'm talking about Kante is a good short, you know those short passes where he wins the ball straight away and he gives those short, simple passes to someone who can play?
He has fast reflexes, quick
so
feet.
good. Yeah, that's why I think he's good at... He can be utilized in a more advanced role. And
No.
But I mean more advanced, not as an attacking. I said Jorginho and Kante both sit back. But Kante has more energy than Jorginho. That's what I feel.
You need Kante to break up play.
Yeah.
Like he's great at that.
So
He's
you
the
think,
best.
So
I
you think
he's the
he
best.
should just specialize in...
I think so, but Sarri has
true.
his own way.
Could be, yeah.
No,
And-
but what? Sorry,
Yeah, go
Harry.
ahead.
But what you're saying, Peter, is that you want Kante to run forward and Jorginho to sit back. Then,
Yeah.
In my
'Cause
opinion,
he can defend. I think Jorginho can defend.
that's the
No,
opposite
Nero
of
is
what.
good.
That's the opposite of what you want, right?
It's not. Okay, you can say he can defend, but you want people to be doing their best, right? You want people to not
Their
specialize,
primary
but
function?
their primary or the best. What they can contribute, how they can contribute to the team the best.
Okay.
And Kante contributes to the team best in breaking up play in the.
If
in
anything,
the whole.
you want Jorginho to go. You want Kante to sit, and when the counterattack comes, Kante is the guy that's going to either intercept or is going to give away a little
But
foul
Jorginho's
to
not that
stop the
dangerous.
play.
I don't think Jorginho is that
I don't think
dangerous
Kante
as
is.
an attacking
I don't think
option.
Kante. You think Kante is?
I think Jorginho is better on the ball. Jorginho is better passer. Jorginho has more strength. Like going forward, like I said,
I just think Jorginho is good at keeping the ball. That's all I've seen.
Like
from
Kante and Jorginho, for me, they play in different positions.
Yeah. No,
Right.
okay. I think a simple way of explaining it, I think Jorginho, like his key function is good. He's good at keeping the ball. But I think Kante is more penetrative with his ability to run with the ball. That's why I feel he's more dangerous up front. But
No,
I
don't
agree.
think so at all.
I agree with his primary function. His primary function is still breaking up play and winning the ball back.
That is key.
Yeah, okay, I agree. I agree if that's his key. But I haven't seen enough of... I've watched three games where Chelsea play, and I find Jorginho, his primary function is just keeping the ball.
Okay. So I just wanted to let you go at the start. I might slightly
I don't think
question...
Jorginho only goals he scored this season are all penalties. I think he scored like...
I don't really know.
Yeah.
I don't remember about the goals. That's not as important.
Yeah.
I will question slightly the way we view Chelsea. Because, look, admittedly, this is in hindsight.
Yeah.
So I look back. I actually think we may have overvalued Chelsea.
No, I think that what they're doing is extraordinary, especially...
See, I'm not sure. See, this is why...
I think it's extraordinary, especially taking into account that just changed their manager recently. And
I don't know the word
table.
extraordinary is the
Okay.
word.
Okay, not
But finish your
extraordinary.
point. Finish your point,
Okay,
Harry.
so-
Finish your
well,
point.
they've been doing
Okay,
quite well.
they've been doing it because only to the extent that they haven't lost until now.
Yeah.
Okay, and has Man City or Liverpool lost? They haven't lost either, right?
They have
Oh, they have lost. Did they?
No.
top two have lost, haven't they?
Okay,
No,
either
they
way.
drew.
Okay, either way, it's because of that. It's slightly misleading looking back. I think their start of the
top seven,
season.
yeah.
Sorry, top two haven't
True.
lost.
Their start of the season, Chelsea, has been very good. I think mostly on the back of Eden Hazard catching fire the first month and a bit, first 6 weeks.
Yeah, when he came back into the team.
Yeah,
right?
top scorer of the Premier League.
I
at
actually
one
think that sort of
moment.
masked some of Chelsea's other, the actual performance. I know everything else they did well, but when Eden Hazard went off the boil a little bit, as you inevitably do, they started to drop points. They dropped points against Everton. They couldn't find goals. And here in Tottenham, they lost. Now, I know Luiz is a big part of it, but I actually think the most important part is the centre forward, Morata.
Yep.
He even if you want to say he's a better player than Giroud, I don't think he is right now, but even if you want to say he is, I don't think you play him because he doesn't work well with Hazard, who's your best player.
Yeah.
You know?
I think they should revert back to the start where they played Hazard.
Where they played Giroud?
Yeah.
Okay, I think so too. But
Giroud is like that battering ram, and he would distribute it for Hazard to...
yeah, Hazard works much better with someone who can play back to the goal, who is someone who can sort of hold up the play.
Yeah, the batter.
A more classic centre forward.
Right. And Morata,
Yeah.
even if he is in full, okay, you can say if he's in full flight, that's a different question.
Yeah.
But he's not. He's nowhere near it. So I think that's the main problem.
Yeah.
And when Hazard's not going, he's not going quite at his, he's not going at his absolute peak as he was. That's why sort of Chelsea have dropped back. So we might have looked back and said, okay, because they've been undefeated. Chelsea's actually got off to a really strong start, but they're actually not as good as their results have indicated. They've just beat up on a bunch of sort of mid-tier teams. Now, they did put in a good performance against Liverpool, which made us believe that, wait a minute, they belong in that group, but they didn't. That was one good performance that, looking back, that might have been the blip. And they beat up on Arsenal, and we should discount that because that was Arsenal's second game.
Yeah.
And that was,
They're still trying to find out.
They're still trying to figure out, right?
Yeah.
So they haven't really...
No, but then Chelsea was, you could say, argued that they were still trying to figure it out as well because they both teams got new managers, but Chelsea just found it quicker maybe.
Right, but we've used their start to say that they're sort of one of the favourites.
Oh,
and
no,
they're actually... I don't think they are.
I think they're
looking
doing
back.
well for what the situation they have been.
I think they did well
put in.
because Hazard was, like, at his best, he's the best player other than, obviously, De Bruyne is not playing, but he's the best player by a substantial margin. Would you agree?
Dude, everyone talks about Hazard being one of the best players in the Premier League.
Admittedly, I didn't watch most of the full games, and I don't even sort of break it down tactically, but I just saw that in certainly 3 or 4 games, Hazard just dominated, and they won because of that. And when he didn't quite fire, someone like Everton, you didn't score a goal.
Yeah.
So they started dropping.
Everton,
Was it just Everton? It was another team.
Poor. Everton is 6th place.
Okay, but if you have Premier League sort of aspirations, if people are
the title, you should be beating these guys.
you should be beating. You should at least be scoring a couple goals.
We all know it's a 2-horse race at the top.
Okay, so that's why I think we may have slightly overrated Chelsea looking back.
Who's we?
Or everyone.
You mean yeah.
Right, so that's why to me, record? That's why the unbeaten record.
Yeah.
That's why to me, again, this is in hindsight. Looking back, I don't think the result is as shocking as perhaps what you started out with, and the fact that Tottenham has gotten a lot of the players back, so they're actually a lot better than they were showing at the start of the season as well.
Yeah.
So those two factors together, actually not as I actually think Tottenham's probably a better team than Chelsea.
You reckon they'll finish above Chelsea at the end of the season?
We don't know. I think they're a better team. Certainly the best 11.
Just a prediction from
depends on injury. Depends on transfers.
I slightly disagree that Spurs are a better team for Chelsea. Certainly man to man. But what I want to talk about though is looking back at Chelsea at the start of the season. The first few games they conceded a lot, and people were saying, well, they're adjusting to this new system, the Sarri system, and they're struggling to find the balance between attack and defense. Now, when they went on the good run, like you said, it coincided with Hazard coming back. So I can see your point when you say that Hazard was carrying them. But now that they've had this little, it remains to be seen if it's a blip against Spurs. The question then becomes, all right, so what is the issue with Chelsea now? Is it that they're still adjusting to the system? Or is it something else?
I think, again, I don't look at it as deeply as perhaps you, or as tactically as you have. But to me, the overwhelming factor is the centre forward play. They're not scoring goals because of the Morata Hazard partnership or lack of partnership.
Yep.
That is fundamental. They scored the one sort of garbage time goal against Tottenham.
Yep.
Before that, at Everton, they couldn't get any goals. Against United, they had to get out of jail by some sort of mad scramble in the box. Remember that?
Yep.
I think it was Christensen.
It was a free kick.
Right, from a set piece, but it was some sort of scramble.
Yeah.
And I know they scored another goal, but they're just not scoring. They're not getting consistent play from the centre forward, especially, and it's not linking up well with their best player, Hazard.
Yeah, which is quite ironic actually, because I don't know, like on paper, and this is going back a few years now, you would think that Morata would be great for Chelsea. He's a big guy, strong. can hit the ball. Certainly better on the floor than Giroud. You know, on
ball,
paper, you would think
yeah.
he can. He's really good. He has really good movement for a big man. He's very mobile for a big man.
Remember when he first came? When he first came, his start of his Chelsea career, he was a dangerous finisher.
He was doing well. And the thing is, like, you could sort of, and on paper, I can see why they went out to get him, because if you think about it, it's like, oh man, like, look at Morata, and then you got your front three of, like, you know, you've got Hazard, Willian, you know, Pedro.
Yeah.
These sort of like little guys who can, you know,
him the
play
ball.
little 1-2s, feed passes, all that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like you imagine the possibilities, right? Just the movement up front, all this, all that. You've got Morata, who is a big, strong guy. You think could acclimatize well to the Premier League. Has the strength, has the size to play
I never
to
bought
play
the
that
idea, but
to play that hold up game to get the guys in, but also has the feet to be able to play those little passes moving forward. You think it fits so well, but for whatever reason, it hasn't worked.
We only saw glimpses, I think, when he was at Real Madrid, and certainly when it was Juventus. And by the way,
it's always glimpses. It's always glimpses.
Always glimpses. And I think right now he's so low on confidence.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But I think it's going on for what, 2 seasons now, more than 2.
More than 2.
After his injury, after he started his Premier League career. No, but he started his Premier League on fire.
Yeah, that's true. He started very well.
After that injury, he was never the same. It's always been
I wouldn't
patchy.
go so far as to, I know maybe you guys know he's the one who beat United in that game with a header.
Oh, that was a
okay.
great
So
header.
it might have, I don't know, felt personally for you guys. You might have sort of cut a little bit deep.
No, but he actually
No,
did start very well.
No, he did start.
He did start well for maybe 7
First
or
half
8
of the
games.
season.
It wasn't a
like-
prolonged period of time at all, in my mind, the way I saw it.
Yeah, I know.
You know?
But he started off like the
But that's
goals
not
he
long
scored.
enough.
The goals he scored were like good, clean
Yeah,
finishes.
I agree with you.
It was like danger. Like you go like, oh wow, there might be something here. But I started off as I started off as skeptic because from his history, he always goes to these clubs and he has portions of games where he played well, and then
We
just
get
quiet.
fooled into Real Madrid because he's not the starter. He comes
Yeah,
on
of course.
as a
He
second
comes
string.
on, and he comes on to like bully, right?
Yeah.
Like score those consolation
Oh,
goals.
he does. He did give you some timely goals, certainly
During the Champions League
17
semi-finals.
No, well, that was in Juventus, and I'm going to get to that. But in the 17, when Real Madrid rested their key players like Ronaldo,
Yeah, but he's never been a key player for a team, right? I know that's why you're trying to go along.
He was a
and
key player
James-
for Juventus.
No,
he
he
wa-
was. He actually was. If you look, okay, so let me finish this point about
Okay.
the Real Madrid winning the league in 16-17.
Okay.
If you recall, Ronaldo was rested and a couple other players were rested, and he came on or even substituted or played in place of him.
Yep.
And they won a
So
lot
when
of times by his key goals.
You mean when they rotated and he would be
Yeah.
like he had the responsibility to try to win the match.
For one game here or there, but mostly it's because of subs, and he would come on and he score. I would say 2 or 3 of these decisive goals to
Yep.
get to get the 4 points for Real Madrid.
Yep.
And you know how Real Madrid has been going on a bit of a run in the Champions League.
Yeah,
Some
yeah.
of it is a bit dubious. Okay, the ones they did lose, you know
Harry
who
is a
was at
big
hands?
Barcelona
It was
fan.
at the hands of Morata.
Oh,
They
it's
lost to
his
Juventus
fault?
in the semi-final, and Morata, he certainly scored the winning goal in the second leg. It was,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly, it was on a sort of like a running type of goal.
Yeah.
Or maybe that was the final I'm confusing with against Barca. And I think he might have even scored in the first leg too against Real Madrid. So the one time that they lose, Real Madrid lost in the last 5 years in a cutthroat sort of situation was at the hands of Juventus and Morata.
Okay.
So his stock was really high, and I think that's one of the reasons why Madrid got him back, because I think he was on loan.
He was on loan.
He was on loan at Juventus, right?
Yeah,
So-
but
so,
it
hey,
was
listen.
he was on loan for like 2 years, I think. It was a
Right.
long-term loan.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So Real Madrid said, we don't want this guy to beat us. Let's bring him back.
Yeah.
If nothing else."
That was
Right?
the way the news, the media printed it. Like
Right.
enough of that, and we get him back.
Yeah. So looking back, the only time in the 5 years that Real Madrid has lost was at the hands of Morata. So he has a great history, right? He'll go down in history, really. And now that Real Madrid team has sort of broken up mainly because of Ronaldo. So he's the only guy to have sort of pierced that in the 5 years. So that's pretty special. But I think since then,
You reckon he's the second big name in Real Madrid during that period of success? You would say that?
Morata,
Yeah.
No, but he chipped in with
Yep,
timely
okay.
goals to get Real Madrid points, along with James.
But that's like every season. Every season, it's not just one guy. There'll always be like like a second and third guy
But
who
he
come in
chipped in
tandem.
quite consistent. Like for the amount of time that he spent sort of coming off the bench,
Yep. Okay.
he sort of outkicked his sort of fair share. You know, he sort of
We
scored
had
his fair share.
Chicharito. United had Chicharito.
You know what? Yeah.
Yeah.
And Chicharito scored a key goal. You know, look,
Here and there.
if you're talking about Champions League, I think it was against Aleti in 15. I
Oh,
remember that.
for Real Madrid?
Yeah.
Oh, is it the volley?
I don't.
I think it was the volley.
But that was. I think that was in the quarter.
About.
Now we're going back away. That was in the quarterfinals, and then they drew Juventus, and they sort of lost. There. But okay,
Steering this back to Morata and Chelsea.
to the present day, yes,
The present day.
it could just be, you know, similar to Fernando Torres,
Yeah, it could
like
be.
very similar. No, just he's capable. He has potential, but just total lack of confidence.
Yeah, it's funny, right? Because it's like it's quite interesting to see how some players just,
Drop so far.
or rather, for whatever reason, they just can't perform like you think they've proven in the past. And then I would not be surprised at all. For example, if Morata left in the summer or even left in Jan, he goes back to Spain or whatever, and he scores 25 goals for the rest of the season. I would not be surprised at all.
I have a hot take. He's going to move to
surprising.
Italy. He's going to move to one of the
Italy?
Milan teams.
Is he Italian or Spanish?
He's Spanish.
Okay, why would he go to Italy then?
Look,
Because he
this
succeeded
is-
in Juventus.
Yeah, I mean, this is like you look at all the Inter and AC Milan teams. Look, Higuain. I don't think Real Madrid will take him back.
Why not?
Uh,
I think that
Higuain.
why would they take him back right now? He's not the hottest striker right now. They're gunning for guys like Neymar, Mbappe.
Are they though?
I think so. That's what the news come out. They're trying to look for the next guy,
I mean, every season, every window, there's going to be
a big star link.
the
for
big
Real
star
Madrid.
link to Real Madrid. Like that's
I
just
really-
whatever.
Yeah, but I
right?
don't think they would go for Morata or Higuain. Their stock is nowhere.
Yeah,
it doesn't,
exactly.
No, I
doesn't
mean
bring the-
he's talking about Higuain in the context of he's the guy in Milan.
No, I'm saying
So
these
they're bringing
Italian
Morata
teams-
over Higuain to take over Higuain.
No,
in
I
Milan.
don't think. No,
I think he's strong about Real Madrid.
I'm just talking about the quality. If he continues this season without scoring that much, he'll still go to a big club because of his career accomplishments.
If anything, I think he go to a big in Spain or Italy. Yeah,
I think because Italian teams always pick up former stars who haven't been playing that well.
or rather, actually, I can see why he go to Italy, but I think it's purely from a because the Italian clubs can afford to get the better players.
Really?
Yeah,
What do you mean? Why?
because all right, if Morata was sold today, how much do you think he'd go for?
Right now?
Yeah,
Ooh,
Can you get 50?
yeah. Can you
50?
get 50 for him?
I think so.
Like I don't know, right?
Yeah, but that's what.
It's a big question mark, right?
Yeah,
And the thing is, like, let's say I don't know who's the best center forward in the world right now.
Kane.
Center forward. I would say Ronaldo. No. But, okay,
Ronaldo
Harry-
is not a center forward though.
Sure he is. You don't think so?
No, he
Center-
plays for the
center
left
forward.
side. He plays for the left.
He's a left winger, man.
In the forward three of Juventus, it's
He starts off on the left wing, but he finishes his game. Oh, he'll go wherever he wants, but it'll be he's the best number 9 in the world, right? But okay, let's move on from this.
Yeah, but anyway, like regardless,
Harry
like,
steering us out of
like
rabbit holes.
Alvaro,
I like it.
Alvaro
That's-
Morata. Alvaro Morata probably you wouldn't say is a world beater at right now. Right now.
Yeah.
absolutely not.
So
Absolutely.
if there was someone that came up, that was available, I mean, like for example, like if they had. I don't know who the name would be, but let's say the best center forward in the world and Morata's
Harry
on the
Kane.
market today, right?
Or Suarez.
Madrid wouldn't go. Madrid, PSG, Man City, they wouldn't go for Morata. They go for the best guy, right?
Yeah.
And the second tier, so to speak, of players
The Milan teams
would be where the Italian clubs go because of the money, right? Maybe only Juventus can offer the amount of money that needs to be offered.
Yeah.
But in terms of like who are the other big Italian teams right now? There's what
Inter, AC,
Napoli.
Lazio,
Like those guys
Roma.
don't have.
Even Roma are doing well. Roma's
But
got money.
those guys don't have that 100 million.
Yeah, they
sort
go
of
for
money,
the 30 to 40.
Like
sometimes
I know
50.
AC just got taken over, Inter got taken over, and then retaken over.
AC Milan got bought by a American debt company or something, and then Inter's owned by a Chinese company, Chinese investors.
Yeah, well, AC got taken over by a Chinese guy first, and then the Chinese
Sold
guy
it.
couldn't complete his thing because of the foreign capital outflows crackdown in China.
Yeah, in
so
China,
then he
yeah.
had to
sell it
on to someone
to
else.
these Americans. Yeah.
But anyway, like those two clubs, the classic Italian clubs, Inter AC, probably don't have the cash. Napoli probably don't have, that tier 1 level money.
Roma does. Roma spent about a lot of money this offseason.
I don't see Roma as someone that could drop 100 mil on a player.
I don't think they'll pay 100 mil for them. You know how like Italian clubs seem to always get players on the cheap? Except I was quite surprised Juventus had the money to buy Ronaldo because they've been quite thrifty over the last few seasons. They signed Emre Can on a free transfer, and they got what's that midfielder guy? Who's that midfielder? The guy who scored the free kick, the Bosnian player.
Pjanic?
Yeah, Pjanic. They got him for quite cheap. Like the Italian team, for me, like I always find that when, for example, an English club will go for a player, they always charge them so much more than the Italian club. Italian clubs always seem to be able to get players on the cheap, in my opinion. Maybe it's a tax thing. Maybe there's a lot of things that go into this that I don't know.
But yeah.
But I'm not sure they're getting the best players.
Yeah.
Oh, true. Not best players, but players of the second tier, which Justin was alluding to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Shall we just move on to the Champions League?
Let's move on to Champions League.
Right, so just to put a capo on Morata, I'm not as interested as you guys where he goes.
Yeah.
I like to watch Hazard, and Hazard's not doing well because of Morata. Primarily because of Morata.
I agree with you.
I'm not sure. I think Sarri wants to get Morata out of there. Now, he's not doing a good job of selling him, but I think he wants to justify to his owner who paid money for it to say, listen, I'm playing him, he's not doing well. Because I don't think on merit, on individual merit as well as on Hazard sort of play, that you play Morata. So I'm not sure why he keeps persisting with, Sarri persists with Morata. Maybe the next game he might change, but it should have changed a long time ago in my mind.
All right. Let's move to the Champions League. Let's quickly go through the... shall we go through all the clubs that qualified?
So, okay, we're taping this on the Thursday, so we know all the results from match day 5.
Yep.
Right?
Yep, let's talk about all the clubs that have essentially qualified. All right?
I think there's 12. There's 4 spots left.
Yeah. So, okay, Group A, Atletico has qualified and Dortmund has qualified.
Do we have to go through group by group?
Yeah, let's go. Or do you want to just talk about the big ones?
Let's
talk about the big ones.
There's a few groups where I really don't care.
Okay, fine. Let's just talk about the big ones. Let's talk about Group B, where Barcelona, Tottenham, and Inter Milan.
That's a big group.
That's a big group.
Barcelona is definitely going to finish top. Who's going to finish second? Who's going to get that Champions League spot? So both Tottenham and Inter, second, third space respectively, both leveled on 7 points. But here's the funny situation: Tottenham has to face Barcelona in the Camp Nou.
Yep.
Next in December.
2 weeks' time.
Yeah, while Inter has to play PSV at home. So I feel that Tottenham might have a chance because I feel Barcelona might play their second string because they know they're top of the table. It leaves room for a chance for them to win unless you think...
Do you think Tottenham can even beat Barca's second string?
Yeah, I think they can.
I'm not sure. I can't know.
Give me who's Barca's second string that Tottenham should be afraid of.
Well, they're not going to rest all their players, but let's say suppose...
I don't think they're going to play Messi.
I think Messi won't want to play because he missed already 2... Because he never want to miss an opportunity to pile up goals. I'm not saying he's a stat chaser, but he did not... Remember, he missed out on 2 games of injury. So he's only played 3. And he's scored 6 leading goal scorer, by the way. So I think he will play. But even if he doesn't play, other guys like... Artur, Artur Mello. He's the one Mello who's actually taken to the field right now. Right? Maybe Suarez or Coutinho, one of those two, maybe Dembele.
I think they'll play Dembele. I don't know if they'll play Suarez
But my point is, even if half a squad, Barca is still pretty good.
Okay.
And going to the Camp Nou will be different.
Yeah.
Big ground.
I think we're all going with Inter is going to beat PSV at home.
Yeah.
At the San Siro.
Yeah.
So Tottenham really have to get a result.
Has to win.
They have to.
They have to win.
It doesn't work by goal difference, right? I'm pretty sure in Champions League it's by... it's
Tottenham's got the tiebreaker over Inter. Okay. So they just have to win. Or they have to match Inter's results. And we're going to presume that Inter's going to beat PSV. Well, Tottenham has to presume going into the match.
So, okay, I think Tottenham might beat Barcelona, but I don't think the result will I think Inter's result might be better, so I think Inter will go through.
No. If Tottenham wins, they're through.
Okay, so I think Tottenham might be. I
So
think
question
Tottenham
is,
will go
will
through.
Tottenham beat Barcelona?
I think
not
they'll go
convinced.
through under the caveat that Barcelona don't play the first game.
I think if Barcelona even still plays their second string, I don't think Tottenham is
beat
as
them.
good as you think they are.
Okay, what about you?
I mean, I think Barcelona will win, but I do think that I do give Tottenham more of a chance than probably you do, Harry. I don't give that
I'll
as
give them a
much. I don't
chance.
give that as much of a chance as Peter.
So you're
Okay.
in the middle
But
somewhere.
I don't give that as low of a chance as you.
Okay.
I
Alright,
think
skip.
No, wait.
Yeah.
Finish your...
And for a
Sorry.
variety of reasons, and right now it's hard for me to say specifically because I don't know the fixtures.
Yeah.
Because I think league fixtures as well play a part.
Oh, right,
But
okay.
because it's 2 weeks from now.
Well, they'll play on the Saturday, like
Yeah.
the league.
Yeah.
And you'll think that this match will be...
This would
They'll
be the most important.
prioritize,
Yeah,
right?
I
Well,
think
but
so.
I mean, you mean Spurs?
Yes.
I mean Barcelona, right? Because
No.
for example, if Barcelona, let's say they play hypothetically, they play Atletico on the weekend, they got Spurs in midweek, and they got
They
Madrid.
played both.
They just
got-
played
They played
Atletico.
Atletico and Real
I
already.
mean, whatever. They've got Madrid on the weekend.
Oh,
They've
they
got
don't,
their
okay.
Champions League game. They got something else. They got big games, right? I can see them resting their players, and also in the considering the fact that they've qualified,
yeah.
like they don't need to worry about anything. They can afford to lose the game. Yeah, but I understand what you're saying. That are
Prize
Spurs
on
good
the
enough?
line.
Are
Well-
Spurs good enough to actually beat their second string? I agree. I would probably not probably. I'll definitely favor Barcelona, but I don't give Spurs no chance. If I was to bet on the game, I'd put money on Spurs.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you just know that if they're going to rest, it's not like they're going to rest for the entire match. Like Messi will either start or be a sub.
play at 30
He's not going to sit out the
minutes at the
entire
end. Yeah,
match.
yeah.
He
Yeah.
wants to play. Okay, especially big stage against a big team. He wants to play.
But
Okay,
But
okay.
the thing is it that big a stage though? Because it's just the group. It's the groups. Barcelona have
They
already
won
gone through.
already, and they won the group already.
Look,
They
Messi
won the
wants to
group
play
already.
every match, and
Okay.
So I
Okay,
think
okay,
he wants
we
to
all
play.
had our
And
take.
there are enough talented players for a
Let's
second
move
strings.
on.
Okay,
We are on the time
so Group
limit.
C. This is the most important
The
group.
group of death of this year, I would assume.
Yeah, I would say so.
So Napoli. So essentially, there's the teams that have a chance for the two spots are Napoli, PSG, Liverpool, respectively. Napoli with 9 points, PSG second with 8 points, and Liverpool with 6 points. So I think the games for game week 6 are Liverpool versus Napoli at Anfield, Liverpool
Yes.
at home, and PSG at away to Red Star Belgrade. I think we're all going to go with PSG are going to beat Red Star Belgrade.
So let's work on the assumption that PSG wins this match.
Yeah.
By the way, they win, they're in.
Yeah, 11
Okay,
points.
so yeah.
So if Napoli just needs to draw to get through to
yes.
finish second in the group,
Yes, well, so let's look at it from Liverpool's point of view. They need to win
they need to win.
by 2 goals, or they can win 1-0, or if not, they have to win by 2 goals.
Yeah.
That is their permutation.
Yep.
So what this sets up is really a knockout game.
Yeah.
Really. Liverpool has to chase a result.
Yeah, they have to come.
It's sort of like the return leg.
Start out swinging straight away.
So I think this will be great because it's going to be at Anfield.
Yeah, it's
Let's
gonna
see
be
how
Anfield. That's why I think Liverpool are gonna win. And
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, that's what I think. I think Liverpool gonna win, but I don't want to discount how good Napoli actually are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're really good this year. I think that they're second in the Serie. Yeah, they are second in the Serie A.
Yeah, but they're
they
behind.
just
But they're behind by like 7
7
points or
points?
something.
Yeah.
Like they're far behind.
No, but they beat Liverpool at the first game at
They did.
Napoli Stadium.
Yeah.
They are the
I
same
think
quality. Dries Mertens is not nothing
I'm
to play
not
with,
as big
man.
a believer in Napoli as many people are, but I think it speaks more of Liverpool's
Champ.
away form. I mean, they lost to Red Star.
I
Looking
agree.
back,
That was terrible.
Looking
That was
back, if
terrible.
Liverpool fail to make it, they'll rue that game.
Yeah, it was
That
definitely
is the game. Like, you lose 2-0.
Yeah.
So
I think there's no other groups to talk. Do you want to?
No, because I want to talk about this PSG Liverpool game
Yeah, let's just talk about that. Yeah.
because Liverpool lost 2-1, and they didn't look good. And this was a team that many people actually, tipped to be one of the contenders to win the Champions League this season.
I did.
And
yeah, I put my hand up.
and
too.
they're on the verge of going out in the group stages. Admittedly, it's not an easy group.
At the
Admittedly,
Parc des Princes.
admittedly not. But
Yeah.
like you said, that result against Red Star
Yeah, that was
really
the one.
screwed them.
Yep.
Like really screwed them.
They've got themselves to blame really for that
if
one.
if they
Agreed.
don't make it.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
they don't make it. And I think
They lost it, 2-0, right? Or something?
Yeah.
Terrible.
And I think looking at this PSG Liverpool game, I saw the highlights, and in hindsight as well, I actually think that PSG were the perfect Liverpool were the perfect matchup for PSG. They were the perfect matchup.
To hit them on a counter
Yeah, because of the way that PSG,
attack.
the way that they won the game, right, was that because we all know the way that Liverpool plays.
Yeah.
Right. They play Klopp's pressing game.
Yeah.
Right? And so the way that it works is when Liverpool attack and they lose the ball, they're not gonna retreat back and wait for the ball to come to them
They're
and
gonna
win
try to
possession and
press
go
straight
back.
away.
They'll immediately try to press you right from the midfield up, right?
Yeah.
And they'll try to press and they'll put pressure on you so that you pass the ball back. When you pass the ball back to the keeper, that's when they retreat.
Yeah.
That's when they get the man back behind the ball.
Yep.
So that's when they can defend.
Regroup. Yeah.
The thing about PSG is that, I mean, the thing about a system like that is that if the opposing team is good enough to be able to play out of that press, Liverpool become exposed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
I know what you're talking about.
And when I say good enough, I don't just mean technically. They also need to have the speed.
Oh yeah.
And PSG, if you want to talk about one thing that PSG has,
Mbappe.
like world class, they have the speed of their front three.
They do.
They have speed, right?
Yeah.
So if you watch the game, right, the 2 goals that PSG scored, all 3 were involved. Cavani, Neymar, Mbappe. All 3 were involved, and both of them were very similar goals.
Yeah.
Very similar goals. It's when Liverpool lost possession,
Yeah.
and then suddenly,
They tried pressing.
Mbappe has the ball or Neymar has the ball, right?
1-2.
Yeah, they play a 1-2 or
Yeah.
they quickly get past the first presser,
Yep.
and all of a sudden these 3 bolt forward.
Yeah.
They bolt forward, and then it's on, and it's just the defense against the 3 of them.
Yeah.
And yeah, just looking back at it and watching the game, right? Watching the highlights. In hindsight, yeah, Liverpool were the perfect matchup for PSG, and I don't think, and I know again it's in hindsight, I don't think anyone should be surprised that PSG beat Liverpool.
Okay.
Yeah, look, that was a very good piece of analysis.
Yeah.
I don't have that prowess because I'm not that into. I don't know that much about the tactics, but what I will say is about the goals that happened.
Yeah.
Going into the match, Klopp made a change by taking out Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back and
Joe
filling in
Gomez.
with Gomez and
yeah.
putting Lovren on. And I think both of those goals actually came through
It was Gomez.
on the left, PSG's left.
Yep.
So
It seemed to me, and I'm not an expert, it seemed to me that they were not on the same page, Liverpool's defense. And I think the first goal, certainly, I believe was the first or second goal where they just ran through the midfield. I think that had something to do with their pressing, but also their midfield that's their weakness.
yeah.
Jordan Henderson, I was watching bits and pieces. I don't think you can win with him being in the midfield, either in Liverpool or at England. I don't think he is a creative guy. I don't think he is a very good defender. He doesn't have the pace. He's not that adventurous. He's just there because I think he's supposedly a good leader. But I think if you need to win big trophies, I don't think you can play him. That's one of the takeaways. And also, I don't know why Klopp made a change because Alexander-Arnold had a very good game in the first game at Anfield against PSG, sort of guarding against Neymar. So I'm not sure why you want to sort of disrupt that sort of work back for partnership.
Yeah. Well, Alexander-Arnold has been in and out of the team for the past 5 games, though.
Yeah. They've been chopping.
Yeah.
The only person who's been. The only 2 is Van Dijk and
Robertson.
Okay, and if you recall, I don't want to pat myself on the back here too early. I had doubts with the right part of the back 4.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Now, I haven't watched them close enough to know, but I did get the sense that they were getting better. And
Joe Gomez is not.
Yeah,
he's a good player.
He's getting better. He's still their sort of weak point, but they were getting better. And I'm not sure why why Klopp
I agree with you
chose to put in Lovren. Lovren's hardly he's not better than Gomez.
Don't you think
mind.
Gomez should be in the center with Van Dijk and then Trent on the right.
Yeah, especially like
Because there's more pace on that right
maybe
side. Maybe
recently, if you want to say he hasn't performed up to par, but Alexander-Arnold did play on the weekend, if I'm not mistaken.
He did.
Right?
He did.
I don't remember what happened. Maybe he played a bad game, but he held up well against Neymar in the first match.
He played well for England against Croatia. He's good.
You're sort of remembering England. I don't care about that.
No, but he's one of the contenders for
I'm talking about
Europe,
the same matchup against Neymar on the left, or sort of on his right-hand side, on Neymar's left, right? He played well. And he's got the pace.
Yeah.
So, and I think both of those goals came during that on PSG sort of left wing, if I'm not mistaken. So I have to question that.
Okay, I'm gonna bring up something. I didn't like. I'm like Justin. I didn't really watch games, but I watched 2 videos. I watched the extended highlights, and I watched all of Neymar's bits. As in, it's not all his highlights. It's bits of him losing the ball as well.
Of this match.
Of this match, every time he touched ball, he was involved in the play. That the video contained it all. So of him losing the ball.
So it must be from a Neymar fanboy, right?
No, it wasn't.
No, not necessarily. I think these sort of videos, they're just like
Neymar versus Liverpool.
Or rather, it's just to show all the touches.
All the touches.
Whether you
every touch,
you
loses
lose
the ball,
you
offside,
whatever. It just shows the touches.
Misses, everything. So the reason why I watched it was because I read 2-3 reports of them, and they were saying Neymar was the man of the match, and they were saying Neymar. The reason why they've been writing these articles is because this is something that have been following Neymar like throughout his whole career, that he never shows up in the big games. Would you agree?
Not as much as
what
his
people
stature
think.
Will have him
Exactly.
So as his stature warrants.
Yeah, so this is one of those few games. That's why everyone's been like trying to talk up. Oh, this might be a change. This might be one of the big moments where Neymar starts being more consistent against the big clubs. So
he hasn't been a failure, I will say that.
Yeah, but he hasn't been the man to go to in the big games.
Maybe it's a bit hard when you have Messi when he was at Barcelona.
Yeah, but now he's at PSG.
Right.
And people always talk about Mbappe stealing the show away from Neymar, and that's why he has
Neymar
to leave.
is still the better player, and I think. I didn't watch this game fully, but I certainly watched the last game against Napoli. I think Neymar was a better player than Mbappe.
So from watching the videos of all his touches, I could see why
But did you watch Mbappe's touches?
I saw the one for the goal.
Yeah.
For his goal. I thought Neymar was more important, but they're both equally.
But that's just on the goal. But in terms of the whole game,
I mean I watched the extended highlights.
So you can compare,
From the extended highlights, I've seen what Mbappe does really well, and this is the thing that he always does well consistently in all games. He's good at running at the right back or the left back or whoever he's facing
without the ball, right?
With the ball and without the ball.
I'm not sure if
he's got better. He's got better.
Ball, but okay.
In this game, for the second goal where Neymar scored, Neymar started it off. Neymar got the ball on the left side of the field against the right side of Liverpool's defense.
Yeah.
He released it just in the right time.
No, you're right. They work well, both of them.
Throughout the game, basically, it's simple. Neymar took Joe Gomez for a ride the whole game, and then for the goal, Liverpool lost the ball. Neymar got it. Gomez was on him because they were pressing for the ball. Neymar released it just at the right time for Mbappe to have a real good run. Neymar ran up with him, had a 1-2 with him to release to get Mbappe further up the field, and that's why he crossed it for Cavani to shoot at goal. Alisson saved it, but it bounced back to Neymar to hit the finish, and it all started with Neymar. So I mean, and also for the Bernat goal, it was I think it was one of Neymar's. Neymar was involved with dragging a defender away. He wasn't really directly involved. But he directly involved with the goal, but he was indirectly involved by dragging the defenders away, giving the space for Bernat in the box for that shot towards the goal. So that's why they're bringing up about Neymar's impact.
Yeah, if your larger point is that Neymar
that's not my point.
Underperforming.
I just want
or you wanted to find out whether
Neymar,
that's the prevailing narrative.
Yeah,
I don't think that is the case. I think Neymar has been the better player and is still the better player. Vis-a-vis Mbappe. I think you have your thoughts sort of confirmed, right?
Okay.
Because you think
I
Neymar...
don't know. No, for me, it's still question mark because it's just one game, and maybe it's just like you say, Liverpool's defense might have not been on the right page, and Neymar might have been able to just exploit that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. Yeah. So I'm just trying. What I'm trying to figure out is where do you all think Neymar stands in the world right now? Do you think he's in top 5?
No, not to me.
Is Neymar a top 5 player in the world?
Right now, is he in the top 5 right now?
I'd say yeah. I don't think I can think of...
The fact that you have to think about it?
Yeah, I don't think... No, but I'm just thinking, like, can I think of 5 other players who I put ahead of him right now?
Okay, so
Probably not.
There's 2, so we take them out. So there's 3. Can we think of 3 names, right? Would you put Hazard ahead?
Right now?
When I say right now, what I mean this week, but say taking into account the last
2-3 months.
12 months.
Last
12 months, right? I mean...
Yeah, maybe. I think he'll definitely fit in the top 5. I think he'll probably be the 5th.
Definitely?
I think 5th.
Who's 5? Give me 5 names.
Okay, so we don't have to go to top 2, but
Just go.
De Bruyne?
Yeah, don't rank them. Just go 5 names.
Okay,
Just
so De
the 5
Bruyne,
names.
Yeah.
Hazard,
What I mean right now is like over the last 2 months. This season.
Let him go. 5 names.
I'll tell you what, I'll take Coutinho over Neymar. And there's more. Like, I
Okay.
just have to go
Give me
through.
2 more.
No, I gave you... are we not... The 2... We don't even need to name it, right?
Okay. So
Yeah,
you take...
you-
So you put Coutinho at above Neymar right
I
now?
think so.
All right.
Okay.
I think Neymar, because he has all these tricks and flashes, I think it overrates him. Now, he's better than
No,
Mbappe.
but those touches are important though.
No, they're not. Did it win any games? Did it score any goals? No, they don't.
It just happened this game.
No, I'm talking about these sort of tricks, these sort of flashes.
No, but I think his touches are becoming better and more in more important moments where he releases the player at the right moment, like how he released Mbappe to go on that run.
Look, he has good moments, but not in top 5. And I'll have to think
We'll
hard
see. No,
if he's in the top 10.
I think after having this discussion, I'm on the page where I feel this might be Neymar's potentially his breakthrough season if PSG goes far in the Champions League. This is the year where he can try to prove whether or not he made the right move to leave to PSG to make it his team, and we'll see that this year.
Okay, so if you want to say some of these games in the Champions League against Napoli and against Liverpool are meaningful, I'll give you that. Even though there was something wrong, I think there was something wrong with
you always blame the other team's fault.
No, but I don't know why he changed it, because the first game Neymar was awful against Liverpool at Anfield. But I don't know if you remember that.
Maybe Liverpool just awful because they're the Parc des Princes.
Well, but he changed the 2. So again, I don't know. I need to know if he was injured or not.
But Klopp, he wasn't injured. But Klopp must have changed it for a reason.
Yeah.
Right?
So would you say it backfired?
I'm not 100% sure.
Maybe Neymar just played better in this game.
Because...
Yeah, here's the reason. Because Trent Alexander-Arnold was not on him.
What if it was Trent Alexander-Arnold and Neymar did the same thing to him?
Maybe,
but you can't say that because it didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
Because
I can just go by the first game. Alexander-Arnold did a good job on Neymar. And if you have someone else there in centre-back other than Lovren, then I can maybe understand.
So it was Joe Gomez. If it was Joe Gomez in centre-back. Who else would have been
I just don't understand why you put Lovren in, who's not an addition. He's not a plus, and you take out Alexander-Arnold, who played really well against Neymar. So and he'll maybe some experts will tell me that. Okay, so we shouldn't. We might have to put an asterisk on the Liverpool performance. I'll give you Napoli. He played terribly against Liverpool, and I don't remember what happened against the return match or the first match against Napoli. I think, was that the game when they... I forget. Okay, so there's really 3-4 meaningful matches, and Neymar played well in maybe 2 or 4. The rest, throw them out the window. They don't mean anything to me.
Okay.
In the League.
That's why I say we'll see. I think this is the season where he can try to prove that whether PSG is his
we'll
team or
only
not.
see from what happens... Not in the next match, but in the round of 16, in the knockout.
Yeah, I said in the Champions League.
And
see how
even
far
then,
they go.
if they draw someone like a Porto, I don't really take that
We'll
into.
see,
You know,
okay.
when
Let's
they play
see.
a big team.
We'll get it.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Do you want to finish up, talk about other groups? Let's talk about a surprising group. I was quite surprised Ajax made it to the second. Make it second in the group with Bayern.
Why are you surprised?
In that group, though?
I thought Benfica would be a bit stronger, but then again, I don't know the context of the Portuguese league.
Yeah.
But, in the history, Benfica used to always be in the knockout stages.
Unless I'm mistaken, there are at least two of highly priced players on Ajax.
Frankie de Jong?
Yeah.
Frankie de Jong and the forward, right?
No, the centre back. I wrote that down somewhere.
Oh, the league.
Some other Dutch name.
Yeah,
You
the
know
guy.
who I'm talking about?
I'll open up squad. I know who you're
it's
talking about.
something.
Yeah.
DE something.
But the point is...
They've also got Justin Kluivert.
And they got
Okay, is that
Tadic.
Patrick Kluivert?
No, Justin Kluivert is in Roma. He moved to Roma. He was sold to Roma.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he
Oh.
did. I know who you're talking about.
So the point is...
they've also
No,
got
the league. No,
Okay.
this guy, Mafik the league.
These are highly priced now. They're still pretty young. Like one's 19 and one's
Blind.
21 or 22. But the fact is they're highly valued. So I
Yeah.
don't know why you're surprised that maybe they don't...
No,
they're
but
not on-
Ajax
they're-
always has a history of two wonder kids, but they will always get spanked in the Champions League over the last.
But not against Benfica.
10
Like,
years.
if you got... Okay, it's one thing if...
No, it's just I
If
just.
you're telling me that they are above Bayern, then by the way, Bayern isn't
I'm not saying
great
they're
either.
above Bayern. I'm not saying they're above Bayern.
They're
but-
above Benfica and AEK, which is Athens.
Yeah.
So
No,
that doesn't surprise me at all.
No, but Benfica used to have a history of always being in
used
the
to.
knock.
Who's a
Name
me a player?
that's what I'm about to say. That
Eusebio's
maybe-
son, is he still
No,
is he playing?
Click into Benfica.
No,
I want to
that's-
see their team.
that's what I'm trying to say. Maybe the Portuguese league have a standard
I just haven't heard of
dropped.
anyone try to rate
Jonas Goncalves?
Benfica's players right now.
Oh, Gedson Fernandez.
Getson Fernandez.
I don't know. Is he highly valued? I
Yeah,
haven't
he
heard his
is.
name. Is
He
he?
is. Yep.
Is Barcelona knocking?
I don't know anyone else.
Real-
Oh, Adel.
Madrid.
Adel Taarabt?
There's
Okay.
rumors Madrid won him.
Okay.
Adel Taarabt. Oh wow, there's such a small squad. Oh, PC. Oh yeah, but okay. No, that's what I was trying to say. Maybe with the
Jardel. Is he still? Is that the Jard? Click. Is that?
Which
click,
one?
Click into Jardel.
Where?
Is that Jardel that's been second row, fourth from the left?
Fourth from the left.
That's not the striker Jardel, right? Yeah. Okay, it's not a central defender. It's
All right, yeah.
Is that guy still playing? Jesus.
Yes, no. That's what I was trying to say. Maybe the Portuguese league is not as strong as it used to. Maybe. Yeah.
And by the way, one result here or there could have just skewed it, right?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
You know,
Whatever. This group is like whatever. Next.
Man City, is that an interesting group or not really?
I think everyone expected Man City to win the group. Lyon came in second, Shakhtar third, Hoffenheim fourth.
Yeah, but Lyon might
Shakhtar
not
can
make
still
it.
go through.
Yeah, Shakhtar is playing Lyon at home. Shakhtar is at home.
Oh.
But I think Lyon will get
that's
through.
a knockout game then, essentially.
Yeah,
I like those games. But then again, those two teams...
I think Lyon will get. I think Lyon will get
Well,
through.
Well, they look
interest.
good against City.
Memphis looks good.
All right, whatever.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Next,
Now,
Madrid,
did,
Roma.
Did Jose sell Memphis or did...
No, they sold,
the guy before him.
No. Jose sold Memphis with a buyback clause, and I think this is the last year we can buy him back.
Okay.
But I don't
now,
think
I don't
we're gonna
blame
get him back.
Jose for this because Memphis didn't play well at United, right?
Yeah.
But right now he's performing well. So,
Real Madrid beat Roma both times.
However,
I
it's
think.
decided. Madrid, Roma next.
yeah.
It's decided.
Done?
The group is done.
Okay, now
Okay.
do we want to talk about Group H?
Juventus, Man United. Group is done as well.
No, done. It's sorted.
But
Shall
you
we?
don't want to talk about the United game at all?
Let's move
I
on,
mean,
man.
we can talk about things, but I don't think any United
We're
played
hour
shit.
in. We're
United
an
played
hour
shit,
in.
but they went through.
We're an hour in. Let's just talk about the Copa Libertadores.
I'm sure there'll be more talk about United in the following 2-3 weeks.
Yes.
Yeah.
That'll be the running story of the whole
It's
season.
well, I wouldn't say it's safe, but it robbed me of a playing game against Valencia. Then Flannery scoring that dubious goal.
What dubious? What is it? Dubious goal?
Handball.
Was it handball?
Yeah, it touches hand.
Okay. I was blind to. I just watched the goal. I was like, oh shit, he scored. It sounds like it looks like a goal out score in futsal.
Right, let's move on.
Let's
60
move to
minutes.
the Copa Libertadores.
This is the story of the week, or
Yes.
the football story of the week.
It is.
So to give everyone context, it was the final leg of the. So it's a 2-leg final. Boca played at home and the first leg, and it was a 2-2 score. So coming into the second game in Buenos Aires, the home of River Plate.
Well, that's the home of Boca too.
I didn't know that.
They are local rivals.
Yes.
That's why the
I-
rivalry is
That's
so
what's
strong.
called a derby. Okay, so go
I
on.
didn't know that. Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
So basically, the second leg, as they were getting in, the bus was getting in. They were attacked.
No, as Boca's bus.
As Boca's bus was coming, the bus were attacked by crazy fans. So
River fans.
River Plate fans. And so 2 players got injured. Pablo Perez and Gonzalo Lamardo were hospitalized. And so there was a lot of drama surrounding the game because after the incident, they tried to suspend the games a few hours to start a few hours later. So during that moment, there was actually, behind the scenes, the Boca players were refusing to play, but the CONMEBOL Federation were trying to get both teams to play. I think River Plate didn't want to play as well. They wanted to suspend the match for the day, but the CONMEBOL organization were trying to get both teams to play. And then there was the videos of Tevez saying, "Oh, they're trying to force us to play. We refuse to play," and so on. So they suspended match for the day, and they tried to play it the next day, but Boca refused under the grounds of it was unfair. The team would be playing in unfair conditions because both of the players were injured.
Yep.
And so on. So they had to suspend the game for the second day as well. So throughout the week, Boca Juniors came out and the president came out and the club president Daniel Angelici basically pushed for the CONMEBOL to award Boca Juniors the title as they refused to play them at all. And that is it. And the CONMEBOL president, Alejandro Dominguez, has announced that the second leg will be postponed. And the punishment for River Plate would be that they won't get to host the game at their home ground. And it might be played outside of Argentina.
I think it most likely will be played, right?
During December 8th or 9th. So I want you guys to tell me what are your thoughts on what has happened after the incident. Do you think do you think Boca Juniors have the right to demand a title like that, or do you think what the president is doing? Well, I think we all agree that what the CONMEBOL tried to do to force them to play the game was quite disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was really unfair for Boca Juniors. But do you think what they're doing is right to try to strip River Plate of the right to play the final on their home ground and for the game to be played outside of Argentina? Or what do you think the punishment should be?
Do you know the history, by the way, of... So I think what Boca...
I know that they're the teams one of the most famous rivalries in football history.
I think it's the most famous rivalry in South America, the most sort of famous derby rivalry, or regional or local rivalry.
Yep.
There's a history between this match suspending and players being attacked in 2015 in the Copa Libertadores.
Yeah, I read a few articles.
The round of 16 in the second leg. This was at Boca Stadium. I think it's called the Bombonera or whatever. It's short for. It translates to chocolate box. As the River Plate players were coming out for the second half, the Boca fans pepper sprayed some of their players, and obviously the match couldn't continue. It was suspended, and they disqualified
Boca
from that competition.
This same competition.
Yeah, it was a round of 16 match.
Okay.
So the result of it was was it the River Plate who went on to win, I believe?
Yep. Okay.
Right? I think they were the 16th seed or something. So now Boca wants revenge.
Oh, based on that precedent, I think then that would be the fair punishment, right?
Well, with some differences, because they'll say, River will say, this happened in the 2015. This happened in the stadium. Whereas here, this was outside the stadium. And CONMEBOL will say, I think they are saying that we're not, it's not under our auspices, because this was really the police or security that was at fault. Whereas it is our responsibility to have a safe space.
Yeah.
Safe space.
Zero credibility. There you go.
In the stadium itself. But I understand
why... They should get us to organize it.
I understand why Boca wants... wants the match to not even be played, to be awarded to them.
So
I understand that.
No, but what do you think should be... What's your take? What would you do if you're the CONMEBOL president? I think that's...
Well, that's a different question, because if you're the CONMEBOL president, you have different priorities than what maybe I or you or everyone else may have, right? Of course, they want the game to go on.
That's a bad question. What do you think should be done? What do you think is fair punishment, you personally?
I don't know if it's fair or not, but if you ask me, and I'm looking at the world, I'm looking at everything, I wouldn't be upset if they awarded it to Boca.
What about you, Justin?
Hold on, but I'm not finished.
sorry, my bad.
Now, as a football fan, of course, you want to see the match. You want to see the second leg played somewhere in Europe. Somewhere in outside of Buenos Aires, outside of Argentina. I think that's probably the only way to go about it. But I'm just looking at the bigger picture that you just can't have this, right? We all agree you can't have this. But what are you going to do about it? Let's punish the club.
I think that you should punish the club
by stripping them of any
title.
chance of the title.
I agree.
Correct?
I agree, yeah.
Now, football fans will say, we wanted the trophy to be decided on the field, and that is all true. And maybe you say you don't want to punish the players for its fans, but sometimes you do have to punish the team so you get a message to those fans to not do this kind of garbage, right? To not do this kind of junk. Okay. So that is my one overwhelming thought. That I don't think it's going to happen, but if it were to happen, I would not mind it at all to make an example of this.
Justin?
But I don't think that's going to happen.
I agree with you, Harry.
I don't. I don't feel it's. I feel it's fine to play the second leg of the final on neutral territory. I think right now they're talking about they're looking at the possibility of hosting it in Paraguay,
which happens to be the home of the Commonwealth president.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
But but whatever. I mean, I don't think. I understand what you're saying. And if they did cancel it, I wouldn't be opposed.
Yeah.
But the thing is, for me, I feel like the solution really is just to just play it on neutral ground. What's wrong?
Yeah. But it would be unfair because maybe what if Pablo Perez and Lamardo can't play because of the injuries sustained from the incident?
They'll certainly be compromised if they can play at all. Because one, I don't know which one, the captain, I think it's the Pablo guy.
Yeah.
That's the guy. Blinded
yeah.
in his eye, like something like 50%, 60%.
Yeah.
So if he was to play, and I don't even think he can play, but if he was to play, he'll certainly be compromised, right?
Yeah.
So, but I'm not even talking about, I think it's called just fairness, right? Just that's in terms of competitive balance.
Yeah, competitive equality.
Because they were, but just something bigger that you've got to send a message. You've got to go beyond what it might even be strictly fair on this. You got to, because this is...
You have to go beyond football. Yeah.
I would say so.
Morality.
I would say so because you don't want... You need to tell the message to the fans that if you want to do something like this, you're going to punish your team.
Oh, yeah. Fuck yeah.
And because... Like sports ultimately is a diversion. It's sort of entertainment, right?
Yeah.
The last thing you want to do is to bring sort of mayhem to risk sort of safety to the fans or to the players, to everyone involved. So it's sort of the entire antithesis of what sports should be about. Because that's the whole point of sports, really. I know it's now sort of professional now, but the whole point of sports is really a diversion for sort of the masses, the working masses, to have some games going on when you can come together and just chat about things. Okay. Chat about a game.
Yeah.
And it also to be entertained. No?
Yeah. No, I think you're right. But I also think this issue actually hasn't really... Do you think that that you'd hold strong to your opinion if, let's say, it was the Champions League final, Madrid against Barca?
I would. I would to make a point.
Yeah, no, I would.
To make a point, because if it was I don't know, just to pick a random country, the Malta League final, for example, no one's going to care.
Yeah.
Right? Precisely why we know this is in the public domain, as prominent as it is, because it is a big stage.
Yeah.
Perhaps certainly the biggest stage for Latin American football.
Yeah.
And the fact that there's
a lot of history as well.
Derby as well,
it's
right?
A big, a lot of history, 100 years of history between River Plate and Boca Juniors.
Right. Now, I don't expect it to happen, but if you ask me, I do think sometimes you do have to use these trigger
big
events
moments where there's a lot of investment
to make a point.
Yeah.
To make an impact on, to send a message to fans around the world.
Yeah, because I think it's a type of punishment where it might it might be like bad for the fans now, but it's better for long term because this won't happen. It might not. It'll cut it down. Right? It'll cut down the likelihood of it ever happening again.
Yeah, look, I totally understand it's very idealistic, but sometimes you need to utilize. You need to get on that high horse every once in a while to send a message.
Yeah,
you know. So,
but I read an interesting article about the reason why violence and football is so prominent in South America, and there was a Forbes article about saying that it's because there's a lot of angry youths in Argentina. That's what they're attributing it to because of the economic situations in South America. Like
I'm sure that has something to do with it.
Yeah, so they find soccer as an escape from their real lives in terms of I know, but and there's also another thing is also there's a big apparently the clubs there's a lot of mafias and stuff. They call these fans they call them Brava
Ultras. I mean, I know
Barras Bravas, which is basically known as like mafia in soccer, and apparently it's really weird because the clubs actually work with these mafias and stuff because they help fill the seats and stuff. The mafias have a big population and they fill a lot of the seats in the stadium, so they work with the clubs for some reason or something. It's really dark stuff in when it comes to the gangs and football in South America.
Okay, but
that sort of thing happens in Italy as well.
Yeah,
right? I mean,
it happened in England in the 80s.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think it's mostly maybe it's socio-economic that maybe Argentina or Latin America might be 30 years behind England.
Yeah, true. That's why there's no like Green Street Hooligan doesn't really happen as much.
And I also think. For me as well, it's difficult to say that we should take this game, like we should just award whoever the cup, because for me, where I'm coming from is that, again, I'll say, if it happens, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I would understand why. But the thing is, South American football in general, and when I say South American, I primarily, I guess, mean Brazil and Argentina. There is a very, very long history of violence and
even Colombia and like players got shot, right? Keeper got shot because he wasn't doing well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a very long history of violence and unrest amongst the fans in the game, and despite it, I understand that it's undesirable and we don't want that. We don't want anyone to be, we don't want anybody to say I'm going for the game. There's a chance I might get killed here, or we don't want a player. Getting injured or losing his life or whatever. We don't want anyone involved. But it's also, I think, part of the culture of the game a bit.
The dedication and passion, right? That's the word they use.
It's a word they use, but I don't know if that's the right word to use. But it is part of the culture of the game a bit.
Yep.
So
this is the man. Have you been to a Malaysia game?
Not in many years.
Do you know that in Asia we Malaysia have so-called hooligans, the people who throw smoke bombs, and they're called the Malaysian ultras.
I mean, whatever, right? But it's part of the culture of the game. And for me, as an outsider, not fully understanding the South American culture of the game, it's very hard for me to say definitively that this should be done or that should be done, because I'm coming from a perspective where I do not fully understand the situation.
I get what you're saying, and I truly don't think it's even realistic, really. But just because it's some sort of... first of all, you might say it's part of the culture, yes, but we all agree, even if you want to say, and I agree that it is part of a culture where the passion is a bit even more intense, that's way over the line, right? We all agree, correct?
I agree.
Right.
Why Pablo Perez was blinded for life?
Yeah, and the thing is, because we're lucky in the sense that there was not one fatality.
Yeah.
Because all it takes is one fatality.
Yeah.
Right? Luckily, there's only, and I say luckily, but all things considered, it was just injuries.
Yeah.
And they were all sort of even recoverable, right?
Yeah.
But if it was one fatality, that changes.
Yeah.
Just to quickly remember...
walking a thin line.
Slightly
that was
off topic. Well, actually, a lot of off topic. The Charlottesville rally, do you remember that?
Yeah.
That blew up because it was one fatality. If there was not one fatality, it would not blow up as nearly as much as that. If it was like 50 people injured, even if it was, say, someone paralyzed, right? It doesn't hit nearly as much as one fatality.
Death, yeah.
So in this case, I think we're saved by the fact that there was not one single fatality.
Yeah,
as well.
I agree. So, shall we just move on?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, do you want to talk about the merits of the two-legged or one-legged?
Actually, a perfect segue. The guy who pushed for that was the president for the Common Ball as well, Dominguez.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's the guy who pushed for the next topic, he basically Alejandro Dominguez, the Como president, the same guy who tried to push for the second leg of the Copa Libertadores to be played in Paraguay.
Oh, that's one of those spots, right?
Where they're looking into a few options, and one of them is Paraguay.
Yeah, he went to FIFA proposing.
Oh no, sorry. This is the second. But do you want to talk about the merits of so CONMEBOL, they've determined that from next year the Copa Libertadores final will be just with the one leg.
But where would it be? Will it be
neutral venue?
Neutral venue.
So, do you want to talk about the merits? Is that
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay.
sure.
So, why don't you take the baton, Justin?
I mean, I think it's.
So, we're debating the merits of two-legged finals
Yep.
versus one.
Well, I think for me, I guess without knowing too much of the details, I would support that. I like the idea of one-legged finals. I like it builds a lot of drama, it builds a lot of suspense.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's great for viewers. I think it's also great for clubs as well, because it's one of those. It breeds more possibility of anyone can win. Anything can happen on that.
True.
In the final. Whereas I think two-legged finals, sometimes you get a possibility of of something a bit flat.
Yeah.
Although I do admit that there are times when two-legged finals can be exciting. Like if there's a big comeback in the second leg or whatever.
Yeah.
But I really like the idea of single leg finals, one-off game to determine who's the winner.
Yeah,
Although I understand that the Copa Libertadores, the road to the final is very different from something like the Champions League. But
is it that?
yeah,
much
it
different?
is. It is.
How different is it?
Because it's not the winners of each of these countries' leagues go into the group stage or whatever. There's the Clausura and the Apertura championships, which happen mid-year as well.
Okay, but the Champions Leagues aren't just the winners either, though.
Yeah, there's a qualification. Obviously, there's a qualification.
Okay, so you're talking about I'm talking about, because I thought you're talking about the brackets and everything, because they have a round of 16 knockout, two-legged knockout, quarterfinals, semifinals. So that's similar.
But the way to even get to the group stage
I'm not
is
that
very
familiar
different.
with. Okay, fine.
It's quite different. But having said that,
it's more longer, it's more drawn out.
It's more longer, it's more drawn out, and it's actually more. In some ways, some would say it's more interesting because it's league based. And it's not necessarily just the champions of your country or whatever that makes it in. But having said that, I do like the idea of single-legged finals, and I know there's one other Champions League, which is the Asian Champions League, which is a two-legged final as well.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that gets changed as well to a single-legged final, because I think single-legged finals, in general, they're just
better,
more exciting,
more stake for one single match.
Yeah, it's finality. Right?
Yeah, finality. Agree. Yeah.
Well, do you have thoughts?
No, I fully agree with Justin's thoughts.
I agree with that too. I think if you look at the pros and cons of each one, just quickly, with the two-legged final, of course, there's more revenue,
more dosh,
right?
Yeah.
There's
more football,
two stadiums or two matches and two telecasts.
Yeah,
but I think that's it. I guess if you want to say the better team will win, so in terms of just strictly based on merit,
over an average, a long-term average, I think you could say that. But I understand that in a two-legged final, maybe that's not. It's definitely less than a single-legged final.
What do you mean less?
That the better team loses.
Right, like in other words, the more you play, the better team would win more. Because in one leg, anything could happen. It could be bad weather, or it could be an injury or something, right?
Yeah.
One question.
Why have you got your hand right? Yeah?
As in, what do you think of basketball final, the NBA finals being a one game?
No.
Decided. No,
because in soccer, it's so physical that you can't play in 2 days' time.
Okay.
Right? You have to, maybe you can play midweek, say every 3 or 4 days, but generally speaking, if you want...
It'll take 1 month to play the whole final, with the Champions League final over 7 games.
Right.
Yeah. It'll take a month.
Even in 3... But the reason why, in baseball, for example, you play, 7 straight... Not 7 straight, but certainly 5...
1 week and a half, you can
7,
finish it.
Yeah, you can play
sweep.
3 in a row, because it's too taxing in soccer or in football. Like if you look at
It's 90
even more
minutes,
contact sports, collision sports, like American football and Australian rules, football, rugby,
Once
you
a
can't
week.
even play. Yeah, you once a week. That's it. Because you just the game will be compromised if you
The
play,
quality.
in only 4 days, if you don't give a 4 weeks rest. So at least in soccer, in football, the association kind, there isn't the contact, right? I mean, at least it's, when there's contact, there's a foul. There's no collision. So you don't have to sort of recover from bruises and nicks and stuff, but you do have to recover from sort of just from exhaustion.
Yeah, from the miles you cover. And
Right.
stuff.
So in two-legged, it's generally over a space of a week.
Got it.
Now, in the pros of a one-legged final is, as you guys have said, it's a sort of one-off showpiece.
Yeah.
Where you bring all your dignitaries and that's it. There's none of this two-act thing where. Like
There's
even
just
if
more
you have,
emotional
usually if you have two
investment
acts,
in
there's an
it.
intermission, but it's still done on the one day. Like if you go to a play, for example, right?
You put in all your emotional excitement to that one game.
You invested it and you want it to be finalized in one go. So
All right. Do you, Justin? Do you agree that the basketball thing should be unchanged as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's different games too. It's a different game
Different
too.
sport. Yeah. No, I'm just checking.
There's more randomness in basketball in a sense. So you, in terms of fairness, if you want to decide who the best team wins.
We have to move on.
Okay, fine.
Let's talk about.
No, but if you bring up a toy, you want to finish. Okay, go.
We get it though, but we agreed. FIFA. What about FIFA considering? Okay, the Common Bowl president basically went to FIFA and said, "Why don't we stage the World Cup every 2 years?" Because he believes players can play in more World Cups instead of just 2 World Cups, which is his case. Say the best players can play more.
By the way, he said that. That's a bit of a red herring. I think people.
Yeah, of course. No, he just wants to. It's a way to make more money.
How many if you just give him, let's say, a 12-year career, you know how many World Cups that is? That's 4.
4. Yeah.
Okay, so the fact that you play 2 World Cups in the space of 4 years, most careers go on for longer than that. So that's not really.
Yeah, but like a squad doesn't always pick like players to play 4 World Cups. That's quite rare already. But that's a rare club to be in. I know it's
that's
a rare.
his problem. Oh, that's the player's problem, right?
Yeah.
Get better or stay picked.
Yeah. Okay. It's not as easy. So thoughts? What do you think? Do you think it should be moved? Because for a World Cup to be staged every 2 years, do you agree with that or?
It'll be almost impossible.
I think so too.
It'll be almost impossible.
In terms of just logistics?
Organizing it, you have to build new stadiums and...
I think just look at the calendar, right? Because if you got the World Cup every year, right? Every 2 years, right? What's going to happen to the Euros? What's going to happen to Copa America? What's going to happen to the Asian Cup? What's going to happen to the African Cup of Nations?
Okay, so you're talking about just logistically. It might be a bit tough,
you're
right?
going to get every single one of those associations to agree.
Yeah.
To have the World Cup every 2 years, which would probably mean one of those, or 2 or 3 or 4 of those competitions could cease to exist.
Yeah, I don't know the inner workings. I think he raised the idea on the back of the success of the Nations League in Europe. He says, okay, maybe we can incorporate the South American teams to go with together.
Yeah.
So could he possibly say that maybe we might
get rid of the
combine? So have, I don't know, like have the Euros as well as that together, World Cup together. I don't know.
Yeah.
So you're talking about, like, I didn't think of that because that's a good sort of train of thought that you were going there. I was looking at it from just a philosophical point of view. You know how both of you guys were talking about the Super League, the European Super League, how it cheapens it and so forth, which I actually don't think it does because there's still one trophy. It just replaces the Champions League.
No, but
it doesn't cheapen it, the accomplishment. It might cheapen perhaps the matches, which I disagree.
Do you think it will cheapen the World Cup?
I absolutely think it will cheapen the World Cup.
I agree. Okay.
I absolutely do think that.
Because the World Cup is because of its rarity.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And it's different. Every 4 years, there's a sort of atmosphere. There's a spirit.
Yeah,
and
it takes a while to build up the spirit, right?
And the World Cup used to be 2 events: the Summer Olympics and the World Cup used to be the
biggest events of sports in general.
I would even say biggest events, full stop, in the world. I would say that. Maybe with the exception of like a royal wedding, but that's more British royal wedding, but that's very anglicized.
No, I think the World Cup shits on the royal wedding by a big.
Okay, but that's a one-off thing, right? Or maybe I don't want to wish this, but say a funeral, right, of a British royal. That might be an event that might even supersede all. But
no, I think the death of Michael Jackson superseded all of that.
I was going to say that.
Yeah,
I think
I was
I
gonna
think
say
the Michael
that, right?
Jackson death was
Shimona!
probably
Rest
the
in
biggest
peace.
event
but
worldwide
that was,
I can remember.
Agreed.
we can. Okay, I wouldn't disagree, but I think Michael Jackson is a one-off.
Yeah, it's
right?
a one-off.
I mean, there's royal weddings.
Yeah, there's no more
every
Michael Jackson.
generations,
The
right?
next is Kanye West.
I
touch
don't
wood,
think so.
touch wood.
I don't think so.
Okay. So when you have that every 2 years, it's not the same. It's not even. It doesn't cheapen it by twice. It cheapens exponentially.
I agree. I
Okay,
agree.
but the one thing I did want to, I was sort of, my take on it is this. He went to the what's his name, Alexandra. Is that his-
Alejandro
Dominique, is that his name?
Dominguez or something.
Dominguez. So he's the Commonwealth president,
Just call him old mate Alejandro.
and he's also these federations as well as the global organization. They're all sort of very interconnected, right? There's a lot of cronyism going on. He's also vice FIFA president as well,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah,
talks with Infantino and all that. If you read the story, what it said was FIFA was considering the proposal. They didn't say yes or no, but it was considering it. I think what this was is like a quid pro quo. This was, to me, the Commonwealth president's idea. Obviously, it works for him because it puts his countries, it puts his nations in the spotlight more frequently, right?
Yeah.
Every 2 years instead of every 4.
Yeah.
He went to Infantino with this idea. Now, Infantino, I don't think he truly thinks it works. But the New York Times story said that Infantino is seeking an election next year. Okay. So he need all the votes he can get.
Yeah.
So I think what he did was he promised him, listen, I will consider this. I will
To
even
get the South
float out
American
a
votes.
trial balloon.
Yeah.
This is the best I can't promise you anything, but I'll float out a trial balloon to say that FIFA is considering this. But in return, will you support me for the election? Because I don't know if it was the same story. Maybe I read another story that the Commonwealth as a group is supporting Infantino for next year's election.
Oh shit.
Okay? So I put two and two together. This is just my theory.
Dude, Harry with the hot takes, man.
Well, it's not. I mean, okay. So that's
Oh, the
what
good
happened.
secret takes.
And I think it's very. The key word is considering that Infantino truly in his heart doesn't want it, but he wants the votes.
Okay.
So he's saying we're going to put your proposal out in the public domain.
Yeah.
If people like it, then let's go for it.
I'm sorry,
but if people
I have to
don't
rush
like
you
it,
through this,
then
but
no.
let's move on to the next
Okay.
topic of. Then what do y'all think of the World Cup expansion? 48 teams.
I didn't like it when they first mentioned it.
I don't
to be
like it
honest.
as well.
Absolutely not.
I didn't like it.
Don't you think it cheapens the tournament again
Absolutely.
as well?
It cheapens it, and it'll be lower. I don't know how it's going to work. Is it going to be a 2-tiered division thing, or because you've
Do you
seen?
think? I think there'll be more knockout stages.
Yeah, no, I don't know, but again, I'm
the
gonna say
games will
now.
be-
I'm gonna say now. I don't like it.
I don't like
but,
it as well.
But I'm open to be proven wrong once the competition comes around and it play it out.
Yeah.
Because like you guys are starting to allude to, I think it depends very much on the format.
Yeah.
It depends very much on the format and how it's done. I think I like the the way that was marketed obviously was that this will allow more teams to be able to participate in the World Cup.
Yep.
It gets fans from those countries
More participation.
more participation. It grows the sport. I think that the idea of growing the sport, I think that is quite a good reason. But as a fan, as someone who has watched the World Cup for since '98, I don't like the idea of this bloated tournament.
I agree.
Where you're going to have teams where historically you think they'll never make it into the World Cup, and being in the World Cup,
We got fucking
right?
Panama, New
And then
Zealand, all these teams.
what you end up getting is just a lot
I love New Zealand.
of boring,
Panama
one-sided
as well.
matches which don't appeal to anyone.
I love these teams, but you just don't play soccer. Just play something else.
I
Like,
absolutely agree with that. I'm not as convinced as you're at least giving some sort of opening to maybe be sort of washed over with.
Harry's like, I just don't want to watch it.
I don't, because even if you want to say it's 2-tier where it's like for like, they're competing against each other, like a tier B versus they play the bottom 24 teams will play its way, and the 12 teams out of the 24 plays
The World
and
Cup
goes
is
into
to
the
see
main
the
draw.
best countries
No
play
one's going to
each
watch
other.
that. Well, I won't be as interested in
I agree
a
with you.
so-called second tier tournament,
Yeah,
right?
I agree with you.
Again, you know what? It's about politics. FIFA
Yeah, of course.
politics.
Of course, there are a lot of people who want.
The more countries, if he goes to Africa,
cash.
hey, we're going to expand your membership inclusion in the World Cup from, say, what was it, 5 teams currently to 8 teams or 9 teams. And by the way, you notice how I think the increases are mostly to the sort of
Middle East.
the African Confederation and the CONCACAF Confederation. It's
Where's
less
Asia,
to
man?
the Europe. It's and Asia too.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause
If Malaysia makes it, then okay, fine. I'm all for that shit. But
But
like,
it does cheapen it.
yeah, I agree. With
It
you. does
cheapens the
cheapen it.
games. In fact, it'll have more of these sort of
Wait,
lopsided
sorry.
games.
Sidebar. One question, Justin. Do you think in our lifetime Malaysia will ever make the World Cup? In our lifetime?
No, I think even with this 48-team World Cup, I don't think so.
Fuck. Okay. Anyways, continue. I'm sorry.
Uh,
That's so sad.
well, yeah, that's that. It just
No, I mean, Harry, I agree with you. I completely agree with you. But like I said, I'm open to be proven wrong. And just on a final note, without being too much of a conspiracy theorist,
Okay.
maybe this opens up more justification to award World Cup hosting venues to countries which maybe shouldn't win the rights to host the World Cup by then saying, oh, but our 48 teams, India will qualify, so we're gonna have a World Cup in India in 2032 or something like that.
Yeah, could be.
Okay, sorry, I'm not sort of getting your drift. Can you?
So there's so
It
much.
opens up possibilities for like China and India. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, it opens up possibilities for them to put World Cups in places where maybe World Cup shouldn't be held, but they win the bid to host the World Cup because of some shady dealings.
But that
For example,
Qatar.
yeah, I mean, yeah, but
It will
in the
increase
future, they
likelihood,
can
yeah.
use the justification. Well, it's a 48-team World Cup now. They'll probably make it.
Yeah. Okay.
But the host makes it automatically, no?
Yeah, but that's why they
that's the
can
point.
justify it more,
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
right? Because Qatar, come on, we all know they're not freaking gonna make the World Cup if they weren't the hosts.
Right. Do you think Russia's? I don't know if maybe Russia would have.
I mean, they
made
have a
it,
shout,
but the
right?
US didn't make it.
Russia almost beat Croatia at the
But is
penalty
Russia an
shootout.
automatic qualifier?
No, but they have a shout.
They have a shout. They have a,
You know what
they
I
have
mean?
a fighting
Like,
chance.
they have a shout. The US have a shout.
Right. You're
Australia
right.
has a
Qatar
shout.
Yeah, they all have a shout. Australia, yeah, they all have a shout.
Yeah.
South Africa doesn't.
No, India, in the African Confederation, they have a shout.
Should you say?
Qatar.
Okay, I agree.
No,
with
South Africa doesn't. But okay, Qatar. Yeah, Qatar.
South Africa.
Sorry, at the time, they have a shout.
Yeah.
Have a shout. Okay, but
Look,
is
Canada. Wait, Canada is going to make it through for the North America one, right?
Probably.
Yeah, all three is going to make it.
Yeah. See, 3 spots.
Yeah.
I mean, Mexico and usually does, but USA didn't make it this
Yeah,
World Cup,
You're right.
and now they're giving 3.
Now, I
So,
think maybe which came first, like the fact that they were going to go 48 made it likely that they're able to give 3 spots. So it's a joint bid, maybe. Whereas
Yeah.
previously, if it's only,
I think that's
what is
gonna
it,
be
what
more-
is it currently 32?
Yeah, but I
might
think that's
be
going to be more
tough.
prominent, right? Because 48 teams, you need a lot of stadiums to play all these
Yeah.
matches.
Okay, but is the
Oh,
question?
man. Wait, one question. Sorry. Imagine the Southeast Asia World Cup, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand. That would be sick.
Well, it's been mooted before.
Really?
Yeah.
That would be so cool.
Okay, is the question? Certainly with Qatar, it's less about the fact that hey, Qatar gets an automatic place. It's more about the fact that it's vote rigging and it's a lot of sort of bribery on the table. It's less about the fact that hey, on strictly competitive sort of issue, that Qatar gets an automatic.
No,
place,
it's
right?
it's related though, right? Because the thing is, that's what brings it to the public's attention in the first place, right? It's like, the World Cup's going to be in Qatar. Qatar can't even make the World Cup.
Yeah.
But
Why?
Do you think that's the issue? Because I'm not sure if that's the issue.
That's one of the issues, but like...
You think so?
One of the other issues is like...
No, I
why
mean that's
would
the
you-
issue that brings it to light that so something dodgy must have gone on here.
No, hold on. But should just because a nation is perhaps bad or weak in football shouldn't preclude them from bidding and perhaps even winning the World Cup, right? Or should it be that hey, you've got to be somewhere good to be able to bid? Forget about the infrastructure.
Well, that has been the understanding for hosting the World Cup since forever, right?
Suppose if China bids for it and they have the infrastructure, and they win it outright. And I think they made it once, right? But they have nowhere close to making even the field of 48. Should that preclude them from even getting it because you're just nowhere near good enough to be in the top 50 team?
Well, I think China actually. Well, it depends on the number of slots that Asia get. I'm not sure the number of slots that Asia
But they haven't come close. They made it once,
Yeah.
and they scored like 0 goals and gave up 15 or something.
Yeah, but I think China have bid for it before as well, if I'm not wrong.
They did.
I think they pulled out before it got to the final votes, but they have been in the running
but that
before.
wasn't because, hey, China, you guys are terrible. It was mostly because of maybe it's business. Maybe you just haven't got enough votes because of infrastructure or some other reason, not because of the fact that that country is terrible, right?
But I think that definitely plays a part, though. Don't you agree? I mean, look at all the World Cups historically, right? Like, I don't think there's once been a World Cup where it's hosted by a country that, and we're not talking about a country that, maybe they'll make it, maybe they won't. We're talking about a country that, like,
well, part of it goes hand in hand.
They're not even freaking close.
They might not even make it in our lifetime.
But part of it goes hand in other words, if you have a very active interest in football, then you'll also have the infrastructure ready for it.
No, but
right? You would have invested a lot of money into your youth and stuff.
Yeah, which they haven't as well.
Which China hasn't.
No, sorry, which Qatar hasn't.
That is all true. That is all true. But the point is, it might just be because it's a correlated fact between why those countries have bid for it, have also been one of the better countries, right? Because they're able to have the infrastructure. Why do they have the infrastructure? Why? Because their footballers are good enough where they should invest in the money, right?
Yeah, okay.
Do you understand?
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
But, I mean, Qatar, come on. Like,
No,
let's have a chance
I
at
agree.
China to make the World Cup.
I agree.
But we all know that.
Let's quickly look at the format. So basically, they're planning to expand it to 48 teams, which means 16 groups of 3 teams, which I think that's really weird. And there'll
That's
be
like the Nations League.
it'll be a total of 80 matches in the World Cup.
Yeah,
80 matches.
Yeah, but not everyone's going to watch every match.
That's a lot, though. Yeah.
And a lot of those matches will be played concurrently, I imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the slots are, there'll be 8 Asian teams.
How is that? Yeah, all right,
Including the host, right? Including the host. So potentially, it might be 7 if without the host.
No, I mean, I'm asking, like, how does that compare with the current allocation for the regions? Yeah.
Yeah, places before it used to be. It
Europe
used to be
only-
4. So it's like they almost get 4 extra teams. No.
Yeah. So look
3
at,
to 4 extra teams.
Look at CONMEBOL, they increased by 1.5 spots.
Yeah.
Look at UEFA, they increased by 3 spots.
Yeah.
Look at the rest, they increased by almost
double.
double it.
Like what you said, they're trying to get more African, Asian, and
It's a vote getter. It's patronage.
yeah.
You know, what else is new with FIFA? I mean, the president has changed, but
Harry with the
everything.
takes.
Well,
No, good takes. Good. That's good. This is that
I
zero
mean-
credibility shit that we like. We like that shit. All right.
so
Shall we move on? Ooh, shall we go NFL or do we do tennis?
let's go tennis.
All right, fine. Let's move to tennis. So ATP World Tour Finals, Zverev beat Djokovic in straight sets, and
This happened more than a week ago, but
2 weeks
Two weeks ago.
Some would say.
yeah,
Well, a week and a half, but because of time constraints,
Yeah,
we've
let-
pushed it back to this week.
yeah. We'll quickly go through. Zverev beat Djokovic quite convincingly, broken 3 times, and the only 3 times he was broken throughout the whole tournament.
Djokovic.
Yep.
Okay, right.
Yep. So beat him very convincingly, actually. So, what do you
would
think?
say
Is
so.
this a breakthrough for Zverev? Because he struggled to win a big he struggled to win these master tournaments. These
Well,
big
he's actually been
tournaments.
doing pretty well in the Masters, but just not the Grand Slams.
Yeah, he
best of 5
hasn't made it
sets.
past back the last 16 for.
I think he made it once, but yeah.
No, made it past.
I think made it past once. It was at the US. He finally broke the sort of the threshold or broke through. Made it maybe the quarters. Maybe if I'm not mistaken.
No,
He's
so
never made it
this
past
year-
the quarters.
Okay, this year,
to
he
the
made
quarters?
it to the round 32 for all the Grand Slams except the quarterfinals. For
Yeah, so
Roland
he's
Garros.
made it to the quarters once. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
He's never made it past that.
Yeah.
And for someone, because he's been, I think, as high as number 3, if I'm not mistaken. Someone with such a high
He's
ranking,
won number 4 right now.
You
Yeah.
should be able to at least get to the semis, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're normally a top 4 player, you should
Yeah.
get to the last 4.
There were a lot of articles throughout the season writing that, like, why can't he break through during the Grand Slams? But he seems to do quite well. He always
In the
makes the
Masters.
semis for like the Masters tournament.
Yeah, he's won, 3 Masters, and this is a even
so
bigger
he won.
one.
Okay, he won a total of 4 tournaments this year. He won a 250-point tournament in Munich, a clay tournament, and he won a 500-point tournament in Washington, a hard court tournament. And the biggest tournament outside of this tournament was a 1,000-point
Yeah.
tournament in Madrid.
So that's the Masters one.
Yeah, a clay
so-
court tournament.
yeah.
And now the biggest one, I think, of his career is this one, the Masters one.
Now, these are all 3-set, best of 3.
Best of 3, yeah.
So I think maybe one of the theories is
Mental strength and endurance.
endurance.
Yeah.
He can't make it. Once he gets to a 5th set, I think his 5-set record isn't that good. I don't know the number off the top of my head. So he can't make it to the 5th set or to make it out of the 5th set. And when he does, the next match, he just totally gives in.
Fair
So
enough.
you can't recover that well. That's one
It's
of
like
the...
Djokovic at the start of his career, every time he gets to the 5th set, he gets what?
he had
Yeah.
issues with his breathing and whatever else that he had to sort of sort through.
But that changed, man. Now he's one of the fittest players ever.
Yeah.
So, do you think it's his breakthrough season next year?
I think potentially. I think I would have to put him there, not because of him, but because of he got a coach, Ivan Lendl.
Yeah, in Van Lendl. Yeah.
He's a super coach.
Is he? Who did he coach before?
He used to coach Andy Murray before, and
okay.
remember Andy Murray didn't do well. He would always choke, mostly against Djokovic in the final. I think he lost his first 4 Grand
Did
Slam
Lendl
final.
help Murray win the Wimbledon tournament?
He helped. So Lendl, Murray, knowing that he lost the first 3, because Lendl also lost his first 3 before winning. I think Lendl's won 9 now, I believe. 9
Grand Slams?
majors, yeah, which is, I think in his era, he's probably the best of his
Okay.
era, against Becker and Edberg and the rest. So Murray got Lendl on board, helped him not just with his game, but with his attitude, with his sort of mental sort of application to the game. And Murray broke through.
Yep.
He won 2. They parted ways.
Yep.
Murray got another coach, Emily Mauresmo.
Yep.
Didn't do as well.
Yep.
Parted ways, got Lendl back, and Murray won his 3rd and became number 1.
Yeah.
So without knowing everything, it seems to me, just by those sort of
He's something
facts,
of a super coach.
that he works wonders to players who is just short, right?
Okay.
It's just sort of close, but can't get through, can't sort of break the barrier.
All right.
And I think potentially Zverev may take that sort of next step
Fair enough.
with Lendl on board.
Justin, do you know Zverev? Have you watched him play?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Lendl thing is a good point. I don't know. For me, in the past, 5-10 years of tennis, you've had these players sort of
Come and go.
win a big tournament or break through or whatever. You sort of think, oh, this is the guy. This is the guy
next gen.
Yeah, this is the start of the next gen, right? The names that come to my head immediately is probably someone like Juan Martín del Potro.
He at least broke through. He won 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about a Canadian guy?
And then
You and your
Mila Raonic. No, Raonic at one point had a shout.
He's
He was
not in the
top 4.
conversation. Okay, yeah.
I mean he made a run, but he never won a Grand
Yeah.
Slam.
Right.
Juan Martín del Potro.
The
What?
Swiss guy.
Well, I mean, Wawrinka made a few finals.
He won 3. That's,
won 3.
That's pretty
Yeah.
impressive.
There's a guy that starts with G.
Dimitrov, Grigor Dimitrov.
Yeah, maybe it's Dimitrov.
But he hasn't won a Grand Slam. He won the Master Finals last year.
Yeah.
But it's all these players who are touted that this is the next gen. This is the next gen. It's going to replace Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, right?
Golden generation.
And for whatever
Nadal,
reason,
Djokovic and Federer.
yeah.
Okay.
For whatever reason, it just hasn't happened. They've won 1, they've won 2 or whatever, and then they've just sort of fallen off for a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
Some of them through injury, and then they've never gotten back to where they were. Some of them for whatever reasons haven't. So again, this one sort of remains to be seen. But I do say that this guy Zverev does have time on his side
Oh, he's 23.
in the sense that
No,
not
even younger than that. I think it's 21.
not just the
21.
fact that he's young, but it's the fact that the other guys are older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've got to fall off sometime.
Yeah, they have to
right?
fall off sometime. So maybe he's the guy that's just gonna, as they drop off,
picking
or
up.
I'm gonna be the guy that climbs on top of you guys. So
It could be even a
yeah.
testament to how good that this golden generation we had, in terms of the amount of dominance, the length of their dominance
Yeah,
over the
well,
last.
yeah, as if we needed any more evidence. But yeah, these are 3 of the 5 best players ever.
yeah,
I mean, I don't think there's any doubt now. Djokovic used to be, you could make in a case whether he was top 5 or top 6, but now it's undeniable he's top 5.
I think someone like Federer, for example, if you went back 10 years and you said, do you think Federer would still be, in the top 5 players in the world, like 10 years from now? I think people would think you're nuts, right?
Do you think he will even win the Australian Open 2 years ago? No, bro. When he won that,
Yeah, I didn't think so.
and then he won it again this year. It's
Yeah.
like, what?
Right.
Yeah. So I think he's next up. I'm trying to get up the top 20 because the
Rankings aren't as I know it's
they're not important,
yeah.
but basically, something what I found from my research that was really interesting, that there are not that many young guys in the top 20. It was like something about, I think, like, I'm not mistaken, 3 or 6
Yeah.
that are within the age range of 21 to 23 years old. So that's quite little. I thought there would be more. But
I think there are some systemic factors. I think, medical science has, or just training methods have been able to keep older players still.
Okay, so 7 of the ATP year-end top 10 are
Yeah.
over the age of 30.
Right.
So isn't that a bit surprising-ish? Over the age of 30.
You could say that, but also I think there are factors, just better training methods that are able to keep the older players still in tip-top
On top
condition.
for longer,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think you see that across all sports, actually.
Yeah.
Like players are playing for longer
Yeah.
across every sport.
Yep. They have a better know-how.
Yep.
I think
They
perhaps,
take care of their nutrition better.
perhaps because courts are a little bit, it's been a consistent sort of trend the last, say, 15 years. Courts are getting a bit slower, so it might give an edge to,
Yeah, the
to
ball's
older
changed,
players.
yep.
So yeah, these are all factors that sort of skews towards keeping the older players more competitive.
I wouldn't be surprised as well if, let's say, in the next 2 years, we've got, let's say Federer retires, Nadal retires, and Djokovic retires, that we have a situation in men's tennis which is somewhat similar to women's tennis,
Anarchy, right?
where there's
Which
no
has changed.
clear, it just changes all the time because everyone's just at that.
There's no.
I hesitate to use this word because obviously they're very good, but there's no really, really good player. Like there's no clear world number one because
That's certainly possible,
because
yeah.
they're all average.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is what happens. Which is what's so happening in the women's. If you discount
Serena. Yeah.
before her pregnancy,
Yeah.
like that's sort of what's happening now. Where it's sort of
Yo, so
there's a new world number one every month.
Yeah.
So
does that
there's a
say-
bit of a vacuum at the top, right?
Yeah.
yeah, so does that say if a woman has a baby, they can't do as well after?
No, it's just that she's only played one Grand Slam or something when she decided to come back. 2,
She played
a
2.
couple.
and she
But
did pretty
make,
well.
She made the finals of both.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just asking, just putting a question.
But
there.
she's also getting older too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So, but she made the final, so it wasn't like she didn't do
No.
that much better.
I think it's just that
much
she didn't
worse.
play enough tournaments to collect enough
Yeah.
points to be world number one. I think she could very easily be world number one.
And it does make sense that you don't, because you we'll never know what it's like to go through that.
Yeah.
I'm sure your body, you have to go through not just physical sort of changes
man.
and stuff, but emotionally. Not the fact,
I don't
not the
think we
fact
have to
that
try to
your
understand.
your priorities change.
I have heard some real bad stories, man, and I can tell you, much respect.
Yeah.
To women, yeah.
Right.
We respect women
And
here.
even if you want to say everything's constant, you go back to the level, your priorities change,
Of course.
right? Certainly, you're not playing for yourself. That's not at the forefront of your mind anymore. It's just natural. Correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because just looking at the rankings now and just going through these names, right? Like, without Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic in there, I just don't know. Like,
Okay, so I think I might have told you last
Yeah,
time.
you told me, was it Sip, your players that you like, men
Karen Khachanov.
Karen Khachanov?
And by the way, I don't want to come off as like a genius, but since we talked about this,
Yeah, I know. I
Khachanov
noticed.
won
I
the
noticed.
Masters
You told me
title
you-
in Paris. He
you
beat
messaged me.
Djokovic. Stefanos Tsitsipas.
Yep.
He won the sort of underage next gen tournament.
Yep.
And I'm going to actually put Zverev in there now because of Ivan Lendl. Solely because of Ivan Lendl.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm not sure. And again,
What about courage?
it's just
We'll see.
again vacuum at the top sort of thing. I like seeing Juan Martín del Potro at number 5, but I have a soft spot. I just like his name.
I like
That's it.
TM.
I like saying his
the way
name.
TM plays. Very, very, very,
Juan
very
Martín del
nice
Potro.
strokes.
Yeah, Tim has a good shot at the French.
And obviously, I'm always pulling for my boy Kei Nishikori. But yeah,
Dude, where's the Korean guy, man? I like the Korean guy.
yeah, with the glasses, with the
Yo,
glasses.
He's battled injury now. He's still 25th, but the rank is gonna drop. He made the semis, so that's 720 of the 50. Almost half of his points is gonna drop the Australian. So yeah, unless he gets far, he's gonna drop even more.
All right, we'll see. I'm excited for next season. I'm actually excited for the change that's gonna happen.
I don't know if it's gonna
happen
come
next
in.
year.
I don't know about yeah.
Not next year, but maybe the year after.
No,
You
I
think
don't
it's still
so.
going to be Djokovic, Nadal, two horse race?
I think Djokovic is more likely to be around for 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah. I don't know about Federer and Nadal though. To
I
be
think
honest.
Federer's last year, next year.
like 2 years more for.
I'll say it last year. He's 38.
Federer will
dude.
still be around. He'll contend. I don't think it's gonna. Maybe he'll win one more.
I think one more, yeah. I
One
hope
more,
21.
one more.
That'd be sick.
Nadal. I know everyone thinks they've been talking about Nadal's injury. Sort of
This
potential.
guy discounts injuries all the time.
No, hold on. They, 10 years ago, 2000, I was watching the Australian Open final with a few people, and I've been saying, because Nadal was, I think, won his 5th, and Federer was on 13. And I was saying, hey, maybe Nadal may be the one to actually surpass Federer. And people were saying, oh, no, he gets injured. And it's true. He does get injured at times. But I don't know if you heard the phrase, a candle that burns twice as bright is twice as intense, or something like that.
I've never heard of that, but...
Is that the phrase?
It's something like, do you know what I'm trying? I think Kurt Cobain of the Nirvana fame.
Oh, shit, this is Nirvana. Oh.
He said something, I think it was attributed to him.
Wait, this is a side quote. Do you listen to Nirvana?
No, I'm not a Nirvana fan, but it's a quote that is attributed to him.
Yeah.
But do you know the essence of that, meaning of that quote is like...
That sounds something like what Kurt Cobain would say.
Right, because he just went out, he checked out, which is awful. Like,
Yeah,
you
okay,
can't just check out when you've had it all, right? Like, you leave behind a kid and... Right?
That's a different conversation for a different day.
Right.
yeah.
Okay. So
I don't know.
I know rabbit holes we don't want to go into, but people will say that hey, Nadal's injury prone, which is true.
Yeah.
But if he does more in his shortened sort of span of playing tournaments,
Could be, yeah.
if he does maybe twice as more in half as much time, then it's the same, right?
Yeah.
And Nadal he's got 17 in less opportunities now. I don't want to just go 17-20, but people have been discounting him because of injuries, and he's gotten here. He's gotten here.
Still with his injury.
Yeah, so people are still going to discount him, and I say don't write him off. That's all.
Okay. Shall we move on to the next topic? Our last two topics. Let's talk about the ATP. It's actually both two. Oh, yeah. ATP.
That's related.
Let's talk about the ATP Cup and the potential as what like the whole tennis media is talking about, the potential death of the Davis Cup. So recently, the Davis Cup have been revamped because it's being run by a group of investors now. Gerard Piqué is involved with these group of investors, the Cosmos Group, and they're planning to reform it from its original format, which is a long drawn-out process of where they play throughout 4 months of the year, where the first 3 months are like the knockouts, the slow knockout stages, and then the final month, basically after the ATP Masters, it will be basically the final. What they're planning to do now is essentially have 1 week in February where it's basically like a prelim match, and during the end of the year, where they were supposed to have a final, they'll have a 18-team kind of knockout tournament. And so after they announced that this is going to happen for 2019, a lot of tennis players have come out and threw some shade at, criticized the Cosmo Group, saying like, "Oh, you guys didn't even came to consult us tennis players. You guys just went ahead and just changed this tournament." And at the very same time,
I think that's more the fault of the ITF, right?
The ITF,
Cosmos,
yeah.
right? Because they're the one sort of Cosmos got ITF on board,
Yeah.
and ITF approved it because they're the one who's sort of overseeing the Davis Cup.
Yep. So okay, and then the ATP came out and had decided to arrange their own kind of national tournament called the ATP Cup, and so now there's this debate on like, where the star players will go to perform in, to play in.
And they're going to be within sort of 2 months of each other.
Yeah.
The ATP Cup is going to be
6 weeks. So after
before the Australian Open, right?
Yeah. So after the final of the New Davis Cup in 2019, 6 weeks after that, the ATP Cup will start.
Yeah.
And then right after the ATP Cup, they have the Australian Open will kind of start as well. So there's this conversation: is the ATP schedule is the tennis schedule getting too crowded for the men? Well, for tennis in general, for professional tennis.
Absolutely, it's getting too crowded. But I don't believe ATP and ITF, they're sort of rivals in this.
Yeah.
They saw ATP, who's governing the men's tour.
Yeah.
They saw ITF come up with this proposal, a lot of cash, right? And they came up with one on their own.
Yeah.
So they're sort of rivaling, and it's a similar amount of cash. It's an enormous amount. But I think with one wrinkle, they're actually going to award rankings points. So that might be more attractive to players.
1,000 points.
Whatever it is.
1,000 points, a big tournament.
Because it matters to players. They want the rankings points to get a better seed, to get a better draw at the Grand Slam, or in tournaments, and specifically for the Grand Slams.
Yeah.
So, players don't like this. Certainly, the top players hate this.
Yeah, of course.
Djokovic, I know he came out and said something. He was actually very, very mild about that. But inside he's seething. He doesn't like it.
Of course.
Because you don't want to.
Your rankings are at stake.
Who awards the points?
The ATP.
So if you play in an ITF competition, do you still get the points?
Not in this Davis Cup. Like they used to award some points for the Davis Cup, but for the last couple of years they don't. And certainly for this tournament, for the PK's Cup, I think they call it either the Cosmo Cup or the PK Cup.
The PK Cup is a joke, yeah.
Rankings points aren't awarded.
Right.
Right.
So my question is, and I'm not asking this with the implication that I know an answer, because I don't. I'm asking this as a genuine question.
Mm-hmm.
Because tennis is the way the season is that it's circuit. It's a circuit, and players can choose what tournaments they want to play.
Mm-hmm.
Is having more tournaments that bad? Because players can just say, hey, I'm going to play this. Hey, I'm not going to play that. Hey, I'm going to play that. And doesn't that, in a way, benefit players? Because the lower players, the lower ranked players, will have more opportunities to play in tournaments.
Right. But it comes at the expense of if the lower players are having a chance to win prize money as well as to win ranking points, it comes at the expense of the top ranked player who might not want to play in sort of December in November or January. It's all relative, right? So do you understand? So the top players may choose not to play anyway, but there's a pressure to not fall behind the pack
in terms of the ranking,
because of ranking as well as the money.
But the ranking points only get awarded at ATP tournaments.
Only at the ATP Cup,
right? Yeah.
And there's also pressure from sponsors to say, "Hey, listen, why don't you play this?" Because they have contracts with whatever endorsement, right? And obviously they want to play.
Well. Yeah.
So of course they don't want to. Of course the top players don't want to play.
Yeah.
Right?
The Davis Cup, for example, the reason why...
Does that answer your question or no?
I mean, I get what you mean, but for me, I'm just trying to think about it in terms of if I was a tennis player, right?
Are you a tennis sort of top tier guy or?
Yeah, exactly. If I was a guy, trying to make it, right? I'd be like, this is great. There's more tournaments for me to play in. Now, I won't qualify for every tournament because I assume there's some qualification process or there's some invite process or whatever. But I won't qualify for every tournament. But now that there's more tournaments, I have more chances to go and
showcase your ability.
To go and play competitive tennis.
Okay.
This is great for my development as a player. If I'm a top player, I'll be like, I have enough power to say I don't want to go to this tournament. I don't want to go to that tournament. Now maybe the middle guys are the guys, and I don't know what the definition of middle is in my exam in what I'm saying, but maybe they are the ones that, like you said,
Okay.
are going to feel that pressure.
Okay. I think let's just go with, I want to say 2 tiers. One's the top players and one is the, I don't want to say also ranks, but let's say the top 4 or 5, the main stars.
Yeah.
They don't like this at all because
course, yeah.
there's going to be pressure for them to play.
Yeah.
They might not play, but there might be pressure on them. And the fact that they don't play, let's say the 4, 5, 6, 7 players will have a chance to catch up with the rankings points. So it's bad for the top.
How
three
are
guys.
these points weighted differently with each tournament?
Well, so
Yeah.
for the ATP Cup, I think did you say it was like 1,000 points?
It's a big tournament.
Right.
To entice these star
Right.
players
So
to play.
I think you're right in terms of the mid-tier stars or the lower stars. They want more opportunities to play. It gives them opportunity to make money, right, as well as to get the points.
And as well to develop themselves.
Right. But I think the top players, obviously, they're selfish motivation.
Of course.
But I think they're also looking into the long run that, hey, we're making the season too long, especially for the men when in the Grand Slams, the men's season is already, I want to say 3 weeks longer than the women's season.
Yeah.
Just normally. And the fact that in Grand Slams, they have to play best 3 out of 5. So it sort of taxes, and obviously they have to hit a bit more. Their shots are a bit, their serves and everything I hit with more speed. They
more
might be more
physically
taxing. It's
intense
more
in the
physically
game.
intense.
Yeah.
Thanks for putting it in a much better term. So I think they're looking at it from a sort of tour that we're expanding. We should be shortening the tour, the season, the calendar, but instead we're actually lengthening it.
But again, I'll say, if you're a top player,
Yep.
I think you have the power to say, I'm not going to go to this tournament, I'm going to go to this, I'm not going to go to this,
Right.
I'm going to go to this.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that I have this thought, this idea, is that I think this is similar to what happens in golf, where there's tournaments year round,
Yeah.
and the best players don't go to every tournament,
Yeah.
right? They pick and choose.
They go on tour and they pick
and choose at the tournaments they want to go
But
to.
I think in golf is, and I'm not an expert, but there's slightly because there's different tours. There's a European tour, there's a PGA tour, and there's a Japanese tour. But usually it's the US, the PGA, which is the US one, or the European one. So, like the American-based ones are mostly playing on the PGA one. So, and the PGA one's much shorter than the year-round sort of tour. So it's slightly different. With tennis, where it's only the one tour.
But do you think that if it continues this way, for example, in tennis, that eventually they'll reach an equilibrium where it's like, all right, this tournament is a tier 1 tournament and this tournament is a tier 2 tournament, and it's not done by sort of anyone classifying it, but it's more done by, Federer's decided not to play this tournament, so I
it's
won't
not
play in either. So this guy won't play in either. So this guy won't play in either. And then, someone goes, all right, I'll play in it. And he's like, number 30 in the world or whatever. And then, like, you know what I mean? It naturally sort of...
Okay. I think it's
These
dictated...
tournaments arrange itself.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's dictated by perhaps certainly the prestige of it, which is the Grand Slams. No one will take that away because we've sort of used them as de facto judgments of a career.
Yeah.
But I think secondarily, it's dictated by the amount of prize money that's on offer.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're all sort of professional, independent contractors.
Yeah.
And which is why I think selfishly they say,
No, but there's
it's a lot of
different-
money in this tournament.
Yeah.
We sort of might want to play in this, but it does make the season longer.
I think to make
You
it much
see?
clearer, it's we can talk about each, like how Justin tried to do it, like different group of players' reactions or the impacts of how this new so-called crowded schedule will impact each different group. So I think like we all agree that this will obviously the big guys, the top 4 won't like it, right?
But do you understand how the top 4, again, it's self-serving, they want the season to be shorter because it serves them.
Yeah, it tells
Right?
them. Yeah,
Yeah, of
exactly.
course.
Yeah, we know that. So
right.
we want to
So-
talk
so
about how
the-
it impacts each different group, and so we're gonna say the top 4
Yeah.
don't like it because they'll be forced to play more, and,
They would
and
rather-
half of them they're older as hell.
No, but the thing is, are they being forced to play more?
No, they'll be
That is
pressured.
my question.
No,
Pressured
they'll
by
be
sponsors
pressured
to play.
They'll be not only by sponsors. They'll be pressured to play more to keep their rank.
The rank, or certainly with the ATP
Yeah, with
Cup.
with these extra
Yeah, but
tournaments.
only with the ATP Cup.
Yes.
Not
Yeah.
with the other tournament.
Oh no, the
Right.
Davis Cup is another thing. Davis Cup, it's more of
Not with the ITF.
Yeah, yeah, not with the
No, with the ITF
that's right,
tournament.
that's right. So only one of it, but it's not just points; it's prize money too, right?
Yeah.
So and
Davis Cup and the ATP Cup
All right,
both
so,
have big prize money.
So the reason that I bring this up is because I'm trying to make a comparison to other sports,
Yep.
which their season is a circuit, which is essentially, whatever they participate in is voluntary.
Yeah.
Now, golf is one of those sports.
Yep.
And there are golf tournaments year round. And again, I don't know the intricacies of the calendar in order to speak clearly about it.
Yeah.
However, and this might be a bit of a reach, and I can understand if you don't want to make this analogy or make this comparison.
Are you going to go some soccer tournaments?
No, but in DOTA, in professional DOTA,
Just do it, man.
Which is a
Esports,
computer
man.
game.
It's a legit sport these days.
this exact situation happened 2 years ago, where all these tournaments were popping up, and people and all the big teams were saying there are too many tournaments in the calendar, right? There are too many tournaments, and a lot of people were saying, yeah, that's true. But then someone eventually voiced up saying, hey, you guys don't have to go to every tournament. But it's because they were so used to going to every tournament beforehand, right? They felt every new tournament they had to go.
Is it monetary? Is it the financially incentive?
There's a lot. Yes, there's a lot of financial incentive.
Yeah.
But it's also because, if you want to talk from competitive video game perspective, right? You don't really know, like every year, you don't really know what tournaments come out. So when they get announced, you're like, oh yeah, I'm in. The money slowly grows.
And it's the start as well.
There's not a lot. It's not the start of esports, but there's not a lot of, I guess, security. So you want to try to make as much money as you can, and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
But at some point, someone was like, hey, all the big teams, all you guys complain there's too many tournaments. You know that you don't have to go to every tournament. You can only go to the tournaments that you want to go to. And eventually, what happened is that, there were some tournaments where the big teams just went, we're just not going to go to this tournament.
Okay.
And there's other tournaments where, and what that did was that allowed the so-called tier 2 teams to play these tournaments and improve themselves.
Yep.
And if you want to talk about monetary incentive, these tier 2 tournaments have monetary incentive.
Okay.
Yep.
So are you finished with that example? Okay. So first of all, I would say that it's not exact. It's not even. I understand the point you're trying to make, but I think it's different with this because you have it's physical. Tennis is much physical, right?
I mean,
and you have a sort of shelf life of whatever it is, 15 years.
Now we're going to get a scene where Justin defends esports.
Whereas with gaming, okay, maybe it might be taxing mentally, but it's not going to be that much. It's not going to take years off your career by playing more.
I mean,
there's a fundamental difference.
But isn't there more of an incentive because your average lifespan of a player is like 7 years?
You mean for tennis? No. So that's why I'm talking about.
Not for tennis.
What are you talking about?
For DOTA.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yes.
He's telling you.
Your lifespan as a professional video game player is much shorter than a sportsman.
Okay, so that let's set that aside in terms of career sort of lifespan. But what about the actual fact? The more tournaments you play in Dota, it's not going to affect you as much. I'm sure it affects you maybe with burnout and stuff, but it's not going to be physically taxing as playing more tennis tournaments. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, possibly.
Okay,
yeah.
So that's one. And also, I don't disagree with you if I'm talking about it from just a number 20 kind of player. Right, who there's more chances. But if you're talking about the top players who have the most say, and there is some sort of trend towards shortening the season, because they're the ones who's driving the conversation. They say, hey, we want to shorten the season, but all these tournaments are popping up all over the place.
Yeah.
And 3 is this, because maybe you want to say, without these 2 tournaments, you don't get this injection of money.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the money is finite.
Yeah.
The top players would rather have the money spread out over fewer weeks than over more, because they're the ones who's going to reap most of that money. So I think, what was the number? It was 18 million for the Davis Cup annually and 15 million for the ATP.
Yep.
Now, those 33 million is new because it's brand new tournaments that's created.
Yeah.
But there is a demand for tennis. So without those 2 tournaments, maybe you want to say 25 or 20 million would have still have been sort of being put in for for the circuit overall. The top players would rather spread the 20 million over across the smaller amount of weeks because they get most of it than to have 2 extra weeks.
No, I think we understand that. We understand that the bigger player.
So that's why, and the smaller players can't sort of come out to go against the bigger players because against the Djokovic's and the Federers and the Nadals.
No,
I think that's what's going on here.
Okay. You have anything to say, Justin?
I don't know. Like I said, I think that because the way the tennis season works, and because tournaments are essentially voluntary, I think eventually,
I agree with Justin.
In the not too distant future, I think relatively quickly, actually, I would guess, and this is just a guess, in the next 4 years, you will eventually see some tournaments being de facto tier 1 tournaments and some tournaments just floating towards tier 2 tournaments because
there already is.
Because the lead players have decided, I'm just not going to play this tournament.
There already is in terms of the points for
There's
the
also
tournaments.
a side-on effect. When you make it longer, when people are perhaps playing this tournament, the Davis Cup and the ATP Cup, let's say, look, again, even players, mid-tier players will still have a finite amount of schedule, right? So they're going to devote more because there's more cash in this. Yeah. So some of the smaller tournaments with tradition
will get wiped out.
They'll get wiped off the map. So I'm not exactly which one, for example, but it's inevitable.
Yeah,
correct?
and that's what happened in DOTA as well, where the tournaments which unfortunately were deemed as being either too far away or too close to other tournaments which were deemed very important or whatever, they eventually died out because they couldn't get enough players or enough teams to commit to join the tournament. But then that solves your problem of the season being too long, right? Because then those tournaments die. So
no, Justin's right. He's saying basically,
no, I understand.
The people who go to these tournaments, the big players who go to these tournaments, will dictate which tournaments will be the ones to go to,
or the tournaments that effectively offers the most amount of money.
Yeah,
really.
That could play. Yeah, that both of these
money or points or whatever. But tournaments will die out, right?
Tournaments come and go.
So in a roundabout way, that's not necessarily great either.
Yeah, that's not great.
Where if you have an injection of funds from Qatar, they can essentially
you should just spread it out.
They can essentially kill off a tournament with a lot of tradition in, say,
like for example, the Queens tournament before Wimbledon.
As an example.
Yeah, as an example.
Right.
Yeah, it could be. I agree. I think for me, I think the bigger point in tennis is more about the death of like a potential death of a tournament with a lot of history, the Davis Cup. And
you're right. It has a lot of history. That it goes all the way back to 1900. But it doesn't have a lot of prestige lately.
Yeah. In the last, no one really
big players don't really.
Nadal and Federer play each other only once in that tournament.
I don't even think they played at all. But they take turns in playing.
They take turns play. So when Federer will play one season to win it, and then Nadal will play the other season.
It's just too taxing.
Yeah.
3 out of 5 sets. It's not going to work.
And it's in between each Grand Slam as well.
Yeah, and also
one in March, one in
the public
May.
Or the media has something to do with it, whereby the way we evaluate players is strictly on the singular figure of Grand Slam titles.
Yeah.
That like we don't care what you do in the Davis Cup or whatever else.
Yep.
So they're not going to sort of, if they want to play for sort of posterity, for history, they're not going to take it as seriously.
Yeah, and tennis is more...
It doesn't weigh in the sort of final tally.
But tennis is more individual of your name rather than your nationality.
That too.
Anyways, yeah.
That too.
So that
too.
plays
But
a
we
part.
don't, like when we consider the greatness of Federer, Djokovic, Nadal, do we take into account Davis Cup? Now, some people do, but most people don't. Most people don't even know what they have done.
Quick way to prove it. Who here knows who won the Davis Cup here this year?
I know, but
do you know?
Not
Justin?
many people do.
No,
yeah, not many people do.
It was Croatia against USA.
No,
in the final,
France.
right? Oh fuck!
I know. All I'm saying is
it was also Croatia, France World Cup.
Yeah. Yeah.
All I'm saying is I think this idea of too many tournaments, I don't necessarily buy it.
I think it would naturally arrange itself.
It just reminds me of like if you study economics.
Yeah.
In a new market, everyone's rushing in. Eventually. It will sort itself out. It will sort itself and reach equilibrium.
I agree.
And I think that...
It might not reach the equilibrium that... It might have a few more depths that might not be good for the tour. That's also something, because we're not sure what's going to happen.
Yeah,
right?
but, the only way that you can sort of, predict it is to see...
What happens
with other and try to see if there is correlation.
Yeah.
And also, I would say that...
And I think, just to finish up my point, I think that having more tournaments is actually better for tennis as a whole.
I agree. Yeah, it's not good for the top.
It doesn't help your ceiling, but it lifts your floor, I think.
Perhaps.
Dope.
Perhaps.
Good on Justin.
Although I would say that tennis is more traditional than certainly e-game or whatever you want to call it, DOTA, right? But compared to other sports like basketball and football even, so that also plays a factor. But so we'll see. We'll wait and see on that. But certainly the top players run the sports really effectively. They're de facto.
Yeah, they run what tournaments are,
and they don't
are the
like
hot
it.
tournaments of the year.
Yeah.
But they're gonna go soon. And what Justin said was really true. I think who knows? It might develop a more competitive batch of players for the next gen. Anyways, on to the last and final topic.
Okay.
Harry, you can start off with this topic. We're going to talk about Federer's preferential
Why don't you
treatment.
set it up? Because I have some thoughts, but it's not as much. It's not. I'm not going to go where you think I might go.
Okay, so basically, there's been news popping up since the last Australian Open, not the one this year in 2018, but since the one in 2017.
Yeah.
Where Federer there have been noise. Basically, other tennis players were complaining that he always seems to get the nighttime matches during the hot January in Melbourne, and so
and the US Open too, I believe, right?
And potentially the US Open
because they have a night session as well.
Yep, that too.
Yeah.
And this season happened again, and then everyone just started going at him again this year. And it was not only because of that, it was also a few apparently favorable refereeing calls that went his way in certain tournaments, like the Shanghai Masters.
Oh, okay. I'm not aware of that. Okay.
But mostly it's the scheduling. He gets favorable scheduling because when they asked him, like, oh, what do you... they asked Federer, like, yo, do you think you have preferential treatment? He says, well, no, but sometimes, the organizer asks me when I want to play. They don't ask me all the time, but sometimes they ask me, do you want to play Monday or Tuesday?
Yeah.
And I just pick what I pick, but I don't get it all the time.
Yeah.
And so...
Which is true.
which is true. So, but I think what Harry wants to pick out is that Craig Tilley, the CEO of Tennis Australia, the guy who handles the scheduling for the Australian Open, is also investing. He's part investor of the Labour Cup as well.
Yes, tennis. He's the head of Tennis Australia. He's also the CEO of Tennis. No, he's the CEO of Tennis Australia. He's also the tournament director of the Australian Open.
Yep.
And Tennis Australia is in a business partnership with
Federer.
Federer's management group.
Yep.
And they're together for the Labour Cup.
They both organize the Labour Cup.
Right.
Yep.
And I think this is the biggest story. Let's dispense with the favorable treatment. I think there is a bit of favorable preferential treatment for Federer as it relates to court scheduling and allocation.
Yep.
And I looked back and I think there is a bit of that, even vis-a-vis Djokovic or Murray.
Yeah. But you know what's the pushback for that? What's their reasoning?
Well, they say it's marketing, right? Which is true. So
because the nighttime games usually have the most attraction and everyone wants to watch Roger.
And I would say that for the most part, I don't have a problem with it because it is a spectacle sport, entertainment value.
I'm just waiting for Harry to hit up.
It drives the salary. People get...
It brings the money in for the sport.
We all know how professional sports work, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you need to put that, but you can't go too far. Now, I actually don't think they went... I don't know if they went that far, but there is a bit of preferential treatment that's evident. So I'm going to dispense with that. That's not where I'm going to go because it happens. Federer is by far, contrary to what we might think, his greatness as a player vis-a-vis Nadal and Djokovic, Federer is by far the biggest draw.
Yep.
Okay? Like Nadal, who's by far the second, I think it's 50% of Federer.
The most famous call in tennis, the most famous line in tennis that I know.
Yeah.
Come on, Roger!
Yeah,
that's
probably.
the most famous line.
Probably. But just to put in perspective, I think Nadal, you could say, is close or equal or maybe even slightly surpassed Federer as a greatness of a player. Nadal's not even 50%, or he's about 50%, and Djokovic is probably Djokovic is probably even 50% in terms of worldwide popularity of Nadal. Okay, so Federer is.
You think so?
Absolutely.
Okay,
it's not even close. Okay, so everybody.
I know Federer is head shoulders above Nadal and Federer.
In terms of popularity, that's not up for dispute. Okay, So that's not even the problem. The problem what I do have is you have Craig Tiley. You're in business. You're in a business partnership with Craig Tiley, and you're effectively paying him. He's effectively on your payroll, and you can't have it where you're still on the tour. If you're actually not on the tour, that's one thing. If you retire and you get into a business partnership, that's one thing. But the fact that you're on a tour, even if you want to say there is actually no sort of shenanigans, there's no preferential treatment, the appearance of it's troubling. Okay, so that's where the sort of the big sort of red flag sort of comes up for me.
Justin, you have more experience in the business world. What do you think?
Well, if you want to talk about it in the financial context, according to the CFA charter, there doesn't need to be conflict of interest to be an issue. Even the appearance of conflicts of interest is an issue.
That's right.
That is one of the ethics of a CFA charter holder. Ooh. Now, how that applies in the real world, that's
subjective.
That's another topic. But I can see what you're saying.
Well, because he's the tournament organizer of a Grand Slam, one of the four most important tournaments of the world, and the fact that you're in a business partnership with an active player, that is really troubling. Again, the appearance of it, and this might not be the perfect sort of analogy or the perfect example.
Let's shoot for it, man. We're volume shooters at zero credibility.
So, I don't know if you've seen the movie Syriana. Have you heard
or
seen the movie Syriana? Okay, the greatest quote from that movie was the lawyer is saying to the CEO, so we're looking for the illusion of due diligence. Okay, so it's less about actual due diligence that they were trying to find, but it's really the illusion of it. And this is what it's the appearance of conflict of interest. It's not even not
even is, but like what he said, as long as there's like a potential link.
It erodes trust, because when Federer is actually scheduled on a center court over, say, Djokovic, for example, then people's going to point to that, even if that's actually not the case.
Yeah.
And that's troubling. And if you see, there's another issue that was raised by the Julien Benneteau, who's the retired French player. He raised about who
lost every match against Federer.
Maybe so. But if he's telling the truth, which I think there is some truth to that, I don't know if it was actually he was a journalist who said that. Despite all the imagery, all the sort of outward appearance of Federer being such an amiable kind of guy, which he is, he's done so much for tennis. He's far more positive and negative.
Just go with the point. We know that. You don't need to say that.
He called up when there was a chance for him to. There was a tournament in February, and he had a chance to take the number one spot back for the first time in, I want to say, 6 years. Normally, you know how it's no secret that players ask for appearance fees, or they're negotiated a lot of times, right?
Yeah.
Mostly for the big players, it starts off with $1 million.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you look at the schedule and you go, why is Serena Williams playing in the Volvo Open in Stockholm? Just a week after Wimbledon.
Abu Dhabi,
right?
Stuff like that,
because because of appearance fees, right?
Yeah.
So Federer, I think the cat was out of the bag that his appearance fee generally is at $1 million.
Yeah.
Because obviously it makes sense because you can market him, right? A tournament can use his image.
He sells seats. He put butts in seats.
Yes, that's right. And because there was a chance for him to play for the number one ranking in February, this is the Rotterdam Open.
Yep.
He called up he got his agent to call up to the management, the manager, which happens to be an ex-player. And he said, hey, by the way, I don't know if it was actually worded like this, but by the way, the appearance fee has went up from $1 million to $2 million.
Yep.
It just comes off pretty badly to me, because it's not. I understand that sort of it's very business, but it's almost quite ruthless. That there is at stake, number one rankings at stake. You can sell more. The way that he presented himself is not in keeping with his public image. Do you understand? Like, I have no problem with him doing that because, hey, listen, you're an independent contractor. You make as much money as you can. But if that was what was presented, it's sort of not in keeping with his sort of nice guy, all shucks kind of image that he's presenting himself in public.
I don't think everyone. I don't perceive Federer like the super. I know he's generally nice, but there is a competitive side to him, and yeah, I've seen it. I mean, from watching, if you watch his throughout his career, when he's angry, he's mad.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't have a problem with in terms of being competitive, but this comes off as being you almost sort of. I know you have more leverage because there's a theme going on that you can play for number one, but you almost sort of. I don't know if blackmail is the right word, or you're certainly using your leverage in such a way. Now, in one of the tournaments, that Rotterdam tournament was actually sponsored by a bank, AMBN AMRO.
Yeah.
The tournament director called the bank and he says, "Okay, we'll give you $2 million."
Yeah.
In another tournament, I think it was either the Dubai or the Qatar one.
Yeah. The Dubai one.
Dubai one. They said, no, sorry, we're not going to give it to you. And so that just also struck me as a little bit that. Just a little bit, it tells me a little bit about who he is because he's very sort of perhaps a lot more shrewder than what he lets on. That's all.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with that, but it's not in keeping with his public persona.
Okay. Justin, you have anything to say?
Not really. I mean, I understand what you mean when you say it's not in keeping with his public persona, but I think that, maybe it is because, like you said, right? Like, he's an independent contractor. He's out to make as much money as he can.
Yep.
If it means that his public persona needs to be this certain way, that's just him trying to make as much money as he can, right?
But Justin said it perfectly.
Okay, I understand, but everyone has the right to make as much money as as they can.
So you wouldn't do the same?
But it's not that I wouldn't do the same. It's not if it's not sort of in keeping with your image, then people might start to sort of question a little bit. And I think there's so many sort of Federer fanatics out here, or certainly in this room perhaps, that I think people might not want to necessarily remember this or try to pin it on Federer. That sometimes he skates when there's something that's of dubious nature.
Yeah, of course. I think the best. Okay, you go, Justin.
I think for me, I'm more, I don't hold it against him as much as you do. It's because I sort of can understand that there's a difference between the business side of things and the personal side of things. Now, there are many people out there who can be the nicest people in the world to you on a social level, but they are the most ruthless business people when they're doing their business.
He's talking about himself.
And I don't hold that against them because they are just doing what they need to do.
Okay, that's fine.
Let's plug in that Godfather line. It's not personal, man. It's business.
And I will say I agree with you on that aspect, but I'm saying that if enough people know about this who are Federer fans and they know about this story, I think their views might certainly people sitting on the fence or slightly leaning on Federer might
I knew you were going to bring this
change
topic up. I knew you were going to do this.
I can understand that. I can understand that.
That's what I'm saying.
I can understand that.
Again, I have you make as much, you use leverage if you want, right? And it's not unfair because obviously him going for number one ranking will create extra demand, will get extra eyeballs. So he's not putting a gun to the
but
tournament's
sometimes
head.
People might like them so much that it's hard to change you probably change a few people's view, but in general, I think people still gonna love him,
And I'm also troubled. Maybe
there's so many stars which have proven that greatness changes a lot of people's views.
And maybe because I'm a bit.
No, you don't like Federer.
No. It's more about the bedside manner. In other words,
before you continue, we have to let everyone know that you love Nadal and you think Nadal should be like...
I appreciate Roger Federer. I do.
Okay.
I think he's done... I love Nadal, that's true, but Federer has done more for the game of tennis. We're not talking about greatness. He's done more. He's given more to the game of tennis than anyone, certainly in recent memory.
I think he's made the game more
likable.
It's appealed more to... He appeals a lot to the mainstream.
Yeah, he appeals because he's affable. He's sort of like an everyday... He's not sort of... He doesn't come off as being sort of ruthless and likable, right? As a shrewd...
that's like... I mean, likable people in sports, right?
I don't think it needs to be that. I think it's more... I think the best word to use is just he's charismatic. He's charismatic. I don't think Nadal is charismatic. I don't think Djokovic is charismatic. I don't think Murray is charismatic.
I think
Wait. I think this is sort of like the swagger conversation.
No.
I'm
Okay,
not sure
let's
if
not
he's
get to this.
charismatic.
No, it's easier. Let's just say likable.
He's
okay?
likable. He's
Okay,
affable.
fine, he's likable.
There's a few players
I
who
think
transcend,
Nadal is
who
charismatic.
transcend the sport that make them likable.
We're talking about semantics here. Okay.
Yeah, that's
right.
okay. So there's Federer.
Yeah,
There's LeBron James.
yeah, fine. Instead of going down this part, sorry, finish your point.
What was my okay? So I just the bedside manner. If we're to believe that story, to say, hey, listen, the ruthless of it all. If you want to say, hey, listen, normally it's $1 million, but because of this extenuating circumstances, you're better off. Maybe I'm better off. Why don't we make it maybe 2 million? But if we're saying, hey, listen, the price has gone up. Normally it's 1 million. Now it's 2. Again, the story could be told a little bit differently. But I can imagine Federer, or certainly his agent.
But this is your assumptions now.
No, but I can imagine that because
Yeah, but
No.
like, how do you know what exactly? Did he really went like that? Oh, it was. Now it's 2 mil. How do you know it was like that?
Okay, I'll tell you what. This is if you really want to get into this. Most people,
I actually don't.
When they watch tennis, they usually see the winner get interviewed, right?
Yeah.
Okay, the loser don't get interviewed.
Yeah.
Only geeks like me who might want to look online, look at the transcript to see how the losers talk.
Yeah.
There's been enough evidence for me to suggest that Federer is actually quite a sore loser. He's still a pretty good loser. He still can be very
but
gracious
I
more
know
often
he's
than
a sore
not.
loser, yeah.
Huh?
I know he is a sore loser.
What I mean, so as in, like, I don't mean in a sense of
He's
you're
not-
upset or you're that's fine.
He's not like the guy who goes to scream at the umpire, but he is upset when he.
Right, that's okay to be upset. You want him to because he's competitive.
Yeah.
But what I mean is he can say some things that can be come off as having sour grapes. That's not befitting his image when he wins. Because when he wins, everyone sees that. And he's affable. He's great, right? He's this all shucks sort of. He's a bit dorky. He's not the coolest guy in the world, which makes people even more likable.
Yeah, he's actually
right?
a bit dorky.
Yeah. So it makes him more
I think it's
likable.
pretty cool.
You think he's cool?
Go on.
Okay, but when he has lost to Djokovic, for example, when in the US Open was a match point, Djokovic just sort of closed his eyes and hit a winner, and he won the match subsequently.
He was so pissed.
He was really. He says, "Oh,
So
well,
fucking
Djokovic
pissed.
is sort of taking
One lucky
risks,
shot.
one lucky,
lucky
something
shot.
like that."
Yeah.
Now, I've never seen Nadal do that, which is why I love him as not just as a sports person, as a player. Djokovic
it's a
has hardly done it
fantastic-
either. Okay,
Yeah.
Djokovic hasn't really done it. Murray has not done that. So
Murray's the worst, dude.
no, I disagree with that. It's a different conversation. Murray does not do that in the press conference. I know
Oh
he
yeah, he
can
doesn't. No, he
look-
doesn't during the game. No, he doesn't blame the opponent. He's
He
just
curses,
angry at
which
himself.
I actually think is okay because I don't think it's disrupting anyone. It doesn't offend me, and I actually like it. That's who he is. Okay, so that's a different.
So you
but
think the
I
most
just-
offensive Federer is the most
I
offensive
actually
loser?
think so when you lose, but because hardly anyone sees him lose, they don't see.
They don't see the dark side.
Right. So
Basically, okay, we get your agenda. You're trying to show that Federer
that's
is not
why
this
because
nice guy.
I've seen that, I can see how he can or his agent can speak to tournament directors in this way. Okay, I have no evidence that he does, but I can see that. I can't see Nadal. I certainly think Nadal and everyone else may, if they have the capability to ask for 2 million, they would, but they might do it in a different way. That's all. So thanks for allowing me to get it off my chest.
I mean, it's
You
all.
want to use zero credibility platform to deface Federer? How dare you? I'm cutting all this parts right now.
Listen, we haven't even got to
joking.
the merits of the greatness of Federer, Djokovic, and Nadal, which I'm sure we'll get into one of these
One
days.
day.
Well, I agree with you that it's all speculation about how he says it, but my bet would be that he's not the guy on the phone talking to the tournament director.
No,
His
he's not.
agent.
It's his agent.
Or whoever. It's probably not his agent. It probably might be his business manager or something along
I
those
think
lines.
my understanding is his
But
agent, Tony Gotzik.
Because, for example, like all these, like, Federer is one of the richest sportsmen in the world.
Third, if I'm not mistaken.
And he has one of the, he has lots of sponsorship deals. A lot of his money derives from sponsorships.
You got that Rolly.
So he has a team that works for him, that makes his money for him off his image.
Yeah.
So I don't begrudge. I mean, my bet is that the likelihood that someone on his team would be like, "Hey, we can ask for more money here." They say, "Are you cool with that, Roger?" So, yeah, sure. And they're probably making the phone call, and they're probably talking to the
Oh shit, it's
tournament
not the
director.
seventh.
So regardless, and to be fair, even for me, even if he was on the phone and say, "Hey, I need $2 million now because I'm playing for world number 1 at your tournament," I'm like, "Yo, man, like, you're a businessman. You're just doing your work. You're not like." it's all it's you're not doing
business.
You're not doing anything illegal. You're not doing anything. Go for
I don't
it.
want to get no. Let's end this as that.
That is,
Let's end
okay,
this as that.
let me have a final word. That is all true, but all I'm saying is that it's just not in keeping with his public image. People
Okay.
believe that he is a gentler, sort of nicer, sort of guy, and
But
that's
he
it. That's
is,
all.
Harry. But he is.
It's not personal, Sonny. It's strictly business.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Let's quickly go through.
But of course, I
Okay.
appreciate Roger Federer.
I was
He's
not,
great.
no. Looking at the Forbes top 2018 highest paid sports athlete.
Let us. Shall we guess?
Yeah. Let's guess. Who do you think is number one?
Ronaldo.
Just go. Just go.
I didn't think that, but I think so. Is that true or not? Oh, Tiger? Oh, Mayweather.
Number two.
Is it anyone we've
Ronaldo.
said? Tiger.
Football.
Can't be Tiger after the whole
Soccer. It's
the whole
football.
alien thing.
Messi.
Messi second.
Okay, I can
Third.
see that.
It's football again.
Ronaldo.
Ronaldo.
Okay.
Fourth. This is shocking.
Wait. You want to give us a clue?
It's a golfer.
He fought in UFC against Khabib.
Oh, Connor.
Conor McGregor is the fourth highest paid.
Why would it? I wouldn't say it's shocking.
I was a bit surprised because, maybe it's after that Forbes that Floyd.
Wait, how about
Mayweather
LeBron?
match.
Where's LeBron?
He's coming.
He's-
Who's number 5? Soccer player, football player.
Neymar, right?
Yeah, Neymar.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Third best player? Maybe I don't know.
No,
Okay, I don't know. 6.
maybe he's the third
Is it
most
LeBron?
popular player.
Yes, LeBron James. 7th.
It makes sense because football is worldwide, whereas
No, the
basketball
sponsorship
is
money
not
game
as
on.
worldwide. It's still right.
No,
Okay.
I think it's because it's more worldwide. That means that the sponsorship exposure and the sponsorship money
Yeah.
is probably way bigger. Number 6.
I mean, football. Like LeBron James probably.
Oh yeah, you got number 6. Number
so
7.
LeBron James probably out punches. What's the phrase in boxing? Out punches his weight or weight class or whatever that is.
Punches above his weight.
Punches
way
above his
better,
weight
yeah.
because basketball is nowhere near. It's still second, right? It's a clear second. Football is clear number one.
Yeah, but
Right?
but soccer is on another scale in terms of
Yeah.
the number of eyes it has on the
Right,
sport.
right.
All right, number 7.
Well, you mentioned that was Federer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 8 is a basketballer. Just
I'll-
signed
Kobe.
one of the
It's-
biggest. Huh?
Kobe?
No.
I-
2018.
I mean,
probably-
he's retired. He can still make sponsorship.
Yeah,
money.
that's right.
But no.
Is it Jordan? Not Jordan.
No,
It's
he just signed one of the biggest deals.
Durant.
No, Steph.
Oh, that makes sense.
200 mega.
That makes sense.
Supermax
But
deal.
but it's not because of that.
And number 9 and number 10. I don't think any of us get hit.
Wait. Give us a clue though.
Football quarterback.
Oh, it has to be either Brady or Rogers.
No,
Breeze?
no. Matt Ryan.
Oh,
Number
really?
10. You won't get it. I
Who
don't
is
think
it?
you get
What sport?
Football.
Quarterback? Stafford?
Yes.
Ah.
That's dead.
Well, is this about endorsement or is this about
Both.
contract?
It's their salaries and their sponsorship endorsements as well.
Really?
I'm pretty sure. All right, let's dead it. Thanks for listening to this episode of Zero Credibility. Good night.